evening after the fight. Lots to talk about, lots of controversy. The fight was entertaining, the fight was fun, but of course, not all of us are satisfied. I'm here joined by the usual suspects. We got Hamed on the line, we got Split Decision, and we got Victor and King Butcher. Gentlemen, how are you?
Very well.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Great.
Thank you for joining us.
Greatly disappointed.
Very disappointed. I don't know who to start with.
Here we go.
So whoever wants to jump in, just go ahead and tell us what you think, man, or what you thought about the fight.
I'll start with this before I actually forget to make this point. I think that fucked up scorecard, the 118, 110, is actually distracting us from the fact that really, the scorecard that had a draw should not have been a draw. If you actually look at his scorecard, he gave round 7 to Canelo. Now, nobody's talking about that at all. You should not give round 7 to Canelo at all. That's one of the rounds that was clearly a Golovkin round. There's no way you can score that for Canelo. By giving Canelo that round, it made it a draw. So really, Golovkin should have won a majority decision.
Agreed.
But nobody's going to talk about that because of that 118, 110. Everybody's just going to say, oh, that was the fucked up thing. We're not going to talk about the fucked up draw card.
Right, yeah. and that's another thing that really upsets me is every single one of those judges was paid to do a job, if you get my meaning. It wasn't
that draw was intentional.
Right, it was made to look, even, what was it, Trowbridge had it 115, 113, which I could absolutely see being the case, because I had it 116, 112.
Same.
But, yeah, each one of those judges did what they were supposed to do. You know what I mean? You're not going to, I don't think whoever arranged this was going to, make it, 118, 110 across the board. I mean, that's, that you can't get away with that. But having one bad card like that, or one good card, one, the draw was bad, but workable, I guess. And then the 118, 110 was just egregious. So, but this way, you're right. Victor's right. This way, it makes it look a lot less controversial, and it takes the focus and places it on one card, one judge, instead of looking at the entire thing.
Yeah, it's basically like a beta switch, just misdirection. Look at this thing, don't look at this thing.
It's a fucking good point,
speaking of misdirection, did you guys see the video Montero posted, or somebody else posted, of Montero questioning Bob Bennett from the NSCA or AC? He gave it to that guy good, man, and all Bennett did was try to misdirect the conversation, talking about, well, let's give respect and props to both fighters and promoters. Fuck that bullshit, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm doing my best not to go full on like Teddy Atlas style, but man, I am fucking livid about this. Like, boxing is like outside of my family. Like, there's only 3 things that really get me out of bed, and boxing's one of them. And, like, when the sport fucks up like it did last night, you guys all know, and everybody that's gonna listen to this knows that I'm pro Golovkin, but I also like Canelo. I've been a fan of Canelo for a long time. But this isn't, for me, it's not about one fighter or the other, or even both of the guys. It's the sport fucking up and failing and allowing it to fail, or itself to fail. It just drives me up a fucking wall, man.
You should.
I already said I'm going back to my boxing protest. I'm not paying for anything again for a very long time.
I only paid $18 to watch in the theater, but yeah, fuck. I'm just gonna stream this shit next time. I really wanted to support the sport that I love, the only sport that I love, and and do the right thing by the fighters, because it was supposed to be this huge event and this great fight, and then, like, on boxing's biggest stage, the sport took out its dick, slapped everyone in the face, and then walked away.
Yep. And the thing that bothers me most about this, it was a good fight. I'm not going to call it like a great, amazing fight of the year fight, but it was a really good fight. I enjoyed it. But because of that, we're not going to talk about that as much. We're going to talk about how fucked up the scorecards were.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, to me, I don't mind that. I mean, that's what's going to make this show today so fun and great for us and for the people listening. Controversy is always interesting, no matter what side of it you're on, and debate's good. But I agree. I thought I was all the respect that I lost for Canelo when he vacated the title to avoid Triple G, while he got away and waited for him to get old. Like, he earned most of that back last night for me, because like he fought hard.
Yeah,
and he
I
showed
really
that.
loved what he did in the 12th round. He came back and actually tried to win the 12th round.
Yep. Yeah, he did. He wasn't. I mean, he backed up a little too much, which is why I don't think he won the fight. And he wasn't.
Same.
His offense was in spurts and not consistent enough for me. But
Right.
I mean, he gave one hell of a fucking effort. The guy, I didn't think prior to this fight, I didn't believe Canelo was on an elite level. I thought he was very, very good, but I didn't think he was on that level. Now I know he is, which is awesome. I just wish we could focus on talking about more about the fighters and a proper outcome than having to talk about the controversy surrounding the scoring and the judging and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, why did Golovkin win? That's my question.
Why did Golovkin win?
Yeah.
I had him winning. Yeah, I had him winning. I thought he was the ring general. He had put the more effective pressure on, even when he was missing or wasn't scoring all the time. And then Canelo didn't always answer. And a lot of the shots, it's really popular right now online. All the shots he landed. If you watch, and it looked like this is something him and Abel had worked on, because I didn't really see this in other fights. But Triple G's guard, like he had that body protected like Abraham protects his head. There was like a turtle shell for the body, man. Like he was getting hit a lot, but it was all here and here. It wasn't on the abdomen. He was taking it all on the arms. So I saw Golovkin being just in general the ring general and controlling the fight in all but 4 rounds.
Oh, this is another point that I brought up on the last show we did. Well, not the last one, but the last one I was really on for an extended period of time. Canelo's offense is flashier than Golovkin's, but I'm sorry, offense. His defense is flashier than Golovkin's, but as far as their defense, Golovkin's might be better, honestly.
Well, that's an awesome point. I thought the same thing last night watching it. I was in a theater full of casual fans that just watch once or twice a year, and every time Canelo threw a shot, it didn't matter if it missed Golovkin or it hit that awesome guard he had last night. It was woo, Canelo, viva Canelo. It was like, what the fuck are you people looking at? You know what I mean? And I was yelling out. I was going blocked, and everybody was looking at me like I was fucking nuts.
Yeah,
but it's like, and I watch boxing 2 or 3 days a week for the last 32 years, and I'm the one that's fucking nuts, or I don't know what I'm watching. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it was, and I don't get upset with those people, because I used to be one of those people. Especially when I was after my induction into the sport. At 11, 12 years old, I didn't really know what I was looking at either, but you catch on pretty quick, and you see the same things over and over and over, and you know what you're watching, you know what you're talking about. But you're right. Nobody gives Golovkin any credit or enough credit for his defense. It's always, well, he's a puncher, he's a come forward guy. So they ought to, and even HBO, those fucktards.
Oh man, I did not see the HBO. Okay, tell me about the commentary for the HBO, because I had the Ring one, so I just heard like Dougie Fisher and shit. What was HBO saying?
Oh my god! And I'm sorry to rant, guys. If BDA or Bucho, if I'm taking up too much airtime, just tell me to shut the fuck up, because
don't worry.
I'm trying to control myself.
Let it all out.
Fisher and those guys and Steve Kim, whenever they're commentating, they're usually great. They're very unbiased. They're very even balanced. They're just trying to call a fight and point out what they see or what we're seeing. Last night, I'm always disappointed with Max.
Yeah,
I like Max. I don't hate the guy. I like his style. I think he's kind of cool because he's the younger guy. That all appeals to me. But he says the most dumb shit that a commentator can say, and it's biased.
Consistently.
Yes. And last night wasn't Max's worst performance, but what really pissed me off last night was Jim Lampley, because I have so much respect for that dude. I grew up. I'm 44, so when I started, I was 11 or 12. Him and Al Bernstein are the guys. Those are the voices of boxing for me, and for most people in my generation, are fans of my age group. And last night, every time Max said something fucking ridiculous, well, Triple G is a puncher. He's a come forward guy. He's not known for his defense, or whatever he was saying. Jim was like, well, yeah. He was agreeing with him, and Jim jumped all over the. Yeah,
pushing the
Jim
narrative.
jumped all over the narrative and the agenda, which I feel like HBO may be a part of, and I'm not a conspiracy guy because I'm all about evidence and fact checking. I don't necessarily believe in conspiracies, but when there's money and power involved, always follow the money. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
So, but Jim jumped on this narrative of the rematch like immediately following the score. Once the scores were read, Jim jumped on it. And I can't remember exactly what I said or what he said because I was so pissed off, and everybody in the theater was yelling and booing and walking out, and so I'll have to go back and rewatch sometime this week. But they did everything from the time before Triple G walked out to the ring to the time that they closed the show with the final thoughts and stuff. Uh, it started with, well, Triple G is nervous, looks nervous and tense and tight in his dressing room, and that's so unlike the champion, and everything in Canelo's dressing room is relaxed, and it's a party or family like atmosphere, and he's in control of himself, and it was just this narrative, and it made me think. It's just, there it is again. But yeah, like I said, I can't remember everything that was said, but I remember uh, Max and Jim. Not so much Roy. Roy was just being his punch drunk self and saying weird, odd shit off the cuff. But it was just like, it was just like, you know, it was like, shut the fuck up and get off the camera, get off the microphone. Everything they said was meant to diminish or make Triple G look like he was never what we all know him to be. And then at the end, of course, they point out the obvious that I know now. I wasn't quite sure that he's definitely in decline. He's past his best. But
Yeah.
how long has this been going on? And now he's vulnerable. And what's this in a rematch? It was just like, can you guys are totally on the Golden Boy bandwagon of the payroll here, or something along those lines, because everything all the signs pointed to Golden Boy, to Canelo, to a definite agenda. And you guys know what I'm talking about. We've seen this story, recycled in the sport how many times, even in any given year, you know?
Yeah, can I jump in?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
All right. First of all, I think going by the last couple of podcasts, I think I was probably the only one. Well, I'm not trying to get big-headed, but I think my prediction or my breakdown, I think, is probably the most accurate, because I think I said in the last podcast that Canelo will make him miss for about 5-6 rounds, and I think I read one of the comments. Someone was saying Canelo can't make him miss, but I actually envisaged this fight when he got close. I actually thought Canelo might get the decision, or could be a Golovkin win TKO. But when he got close, I just looked at a lot of the
Delay
factors,
game.
the delay game, everything. The
Oh no,
type
no,
of
sorry, that's
fight.
me. I'm watching the football game.
Okay, but delaying the fight. But back to the thing, I was watching it on Box Nation. I had the chance to watch it on HBO, but watch the build up. I didn't want to watch it on HBO because the feed I had it wasn't a stream, but it was on the TV that I was joined up. So it was live in a way, but it was a couple of minutes behind. But watched on Box Nation. They thought as well Golovkin won. I thought it was a bit closer. So I wasn't too mad with the decision in terms of the draw. I think I've seen worse decisions. I think if Golovkin lost, I would have been really disappointed. I think that would have been bad. I mean, he's still champion. I mean, being positive, he's still undefeated. But I think it leaves a bad taste. Like you said, that scorecard that gave the 7th round to Canelo and that 118-110. I mean, that just ruined the fight. The whole fight will be remembered for that scorecard because I mean, I wasn't too mad with the two cards. I had a 115, 113 Golovkin. I could go as far as 116, 113 Golovkin, giving 110 10 round is one of the rounds I just couldn't split, but I'd have to rewatch it again to score it properly round by round without
Yeah.
commentary or on HBO. I wouldn't mind seeing how Harold Lenderman was scoring, but I gave Golovkin the first round, I gave Canelo the second, third. I had a 2-2 after 4, 3-2, 4-2 Golovkin after 6, and then in the middle rounds, I think I gave Canelo one of the middle rounds, and I thought Golovkin probably nicked the 12th round as well. I think I seen the punch stats, but I think Golovkin threw one more, but Canelo landed one more. I mean, the 12th round I think was a toss-up, even though Canelo
Yeah.
did come out quite strong. But I realized a lot of I wasn't really impressed with Golovkin in the first 3 rounds, but after that, I was really impressed how he was cutting the ring off, and his timing was quite slow. He was quite slow, but the fundamental jab and the way he was maneuvering Canelo on the ropes, I was really impressed. I gained a lot of credit for Canelo for taking some of those shots and hanging with him, and he showed a lot of good underrated defense from Canelo and his head movements, but I can't see how Canelo won that fight. 118, 110, I mean, that's a joke. Even 115, 113, I mean, I was watching it with my brothers, and two of us had it for Golovkin, 115, 113. I think you could stretch it to 8-4, 160, 112, but I could see how you could one judge could score a draw. I wasn't too mad at that judge, but I mean, if you had the third judge who was scored it how he seen it, like not like that blind judge, then maybe we could have got a proper fair decision. And I mean, if it was a draw like that, and then I mean, it would not have been that bad. Even though I don't think I agreed with it, but I mean, I thought the Pacquiao Horn fight decision was much worse. That's just my opinion. I mean, going into this fight, I kind of expected a bad decision. I was quite surprised the two of them actually didn't rob Golovkin. Like, I thought there'd be, when it gets to that point, there'd be like a 116, 112, Canelo 117, 111. So I was kind of satisfied that at least two of the judges tried scoring honestly. Like, even though one of them, I think, did mess up with that round 7.
Anybody else got anything they want to say? Any opinions?
Hello.
Yo,
Hello.
Reverse, how are you, man?
Oh, hi there.
What's up?
Oh, Reverse Lee, what's up, man?
I'm good. How are all of you?
Good, man.
Very well, thank you.
Great.
All right, so we've heard everyone's opinion. Well, you're the only one who hasn't given it. You want to tell us what you thought about the fight and the decision?
Yeah, I thought Triple G clearly won. I mean, I don't know how they gave that a draw. But I did notice many, many flaws from Triple G that we usually never see in any of his fights.
I agree. He's definitely in decline.
Like, for instance, like, you notice this, and I know I couldn't be the only person noticing this. He let Canelo run off to the same side constantly. Just over and over again to the right.
And all he threw was his jab and his right hook. He never threw his left to the body or any shot to the body.
Really, yeah.
I know it was just and his jab was nowhere near as like strong and stingy as we
Right.
usually see it.
Right.
Because he was hesitating when he threw that jab. Canelo
Yeah,
was
it's
moving
like
his head. He was on David Lemieux again, you know? And
Yeah, he was
Golovkin was
just
missing with that right hand like badly, man.
Yeah.
Golovkin was so slow last night.
Yeah,
and not only
whenever-
that, like he looked so like shaky on his feet. Did you notice that? Like his feet were never
Yep.
like right still.
Well, I thought in the first 3 rounds, which I gave to Canelo, that I thought Golovkin just looked absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I
He just
agree.
looked so sluggish. Like you could see
Yeah.
every little bit of his age.
Yep. And it's sad. It's sad because most guys we watch decline, kind of like Chocolatito. They go up, they plateau, and they slowly go down before they drop. Gennady just seemed to drop, like from the Jacobs fight. From the Jacobs fight to today or last night, it's been like a sharp drop. It hasn't been that slow decline.
I actually have a theory on this. I don't think it's just his age. I think it's that Golovkin is used to being very active and like active in the ring. I mean, like back-to-back fights. And if you think about it, the Jacobs fight and the Canelo fight, that's both in times when like 6 months before he actually had a fight. You know what I mean? So that might have a lot to do with it. And also, I think
It was
also with him too.
It was also
Well,
like I think he was trying to show Canelo way too much respect because of his counterpunching abilities.
I think it's the body shots from Canelo that were kind of making Golovkin reset. I realized he didn't like the body shots, and I don't understand why Golovkin didn't go to the body as effective as he normally done. I think his body attack, I think I made the point on the last podcast, was kind of non-existent. I think his jab was quite effective from the round 3 or 4 onwards, but the body attack from Canelo was superior to Golovkin's body attack. I still don't think that was enough to win, but I think that's what prevented Canelo from getting knocked out or going down or getting substantially hurt.
Yeah, if he had just gotten in some of those hooks to the body, he could have damaged him more. But he was just, it was just the same old little measuring jab that did land and did do a little bit of damage, and then it was the big old right hook that you can see from a mile away.
Do you guys reckon? I've heard a lot of people, and I've read that they think that Golovkin couldn't hurt him. Do you think this is what
he probably? No, you say Golovkin hurting Canelo?
No, I thought Golovkin was catching him with good shots, but he couldn't follow it up. Like, he'd hit him with the singular shot. He couldn't follow it up. Like, that's what I thought.
Yeah, like you noticed there was one particular overhand right that just railed Canelo, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did nothing to follow it up. He just like smacked him with it, and then he just gazed at him in glory of the punch.
That's one of the, like we all talked about. We gave Jacobs a lot of credit for doing well in that fight, and I was hesitant to say that Triple G was getting older or starting his slow descent down. But
I think he took it easy on Daniel, because I mean, how many times have you seen Triple G knock somebody down like with one punch, and then he just kind of just slowly goes back to the jab?
Right. Yeah. Usually he's a killer. Once his guy's hurt, he goes for the kill.
Okay.
But like that's gone. To me, that's a sign. That's a sign of a tired or shot fighter. When that ability to close goes.
Yeah.
What do you guys reckon? What was the closer fight, Golovkin Jacobs or Golovkin Canelo? One second, but I thought I had Golovkin
about the same.
6. I thought Golovkin Canelo was 7-5. 6-6, I think, is being a bit generous to Canelo. I don't think Canelo drew. I wouldn't say it was a robbery. I mean, a draw. Giving Canelo a draw, I think. I've seen worse scorecards. I mean, Horn over Pacquiao, I thought that was a very bad decision. I think Golovkin did enough to win, but rewatching it, I'll probably have it wider. But that was just me watching it live. Like, I had Golovkin 7-5. I could go as far as 8-4. I mean, if you really want to be generous to Canelo, 115, 114, maybe I could see that, like scoring a 10-0 round. One of the cards I wasn't too mad, but a unanimous draw or a Canelo win, I can't see that.
Did anybody see the tweet that Manny Pacquiao put out?
Oh yeah, the Australian one.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yep.
I will say this: if Daniel Jacobs would have stayed with Golden Boy, he probably would have gotten the decision against Golovkin. So right there, it's a mistake he made by going without Heyman.
I mean, Heyman fixes things just as well.
Well,
as
he's
Golden
just
Boy, though,
like
so.
he seems very like willing to go to decision, which is very unnecessary for an Eastern European running around in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. In Las Vegas against Golden Boy.
Well, no,
I know you think, because Abel Sanchez did release a statement saying that if we go to decision and we get robbed, it's our own fault.
Yeah, but see, I think that Gennady knew that too, but I don't think he has the physical ability to do what he was doing even a year ago, and I think that's why he went 12 with Jacobs and he went 12 with Canelo. Because I mean, am I the only one? Am I crazy in believing that he would have knocked both of those guys the fuck out around 6 to 8, even just a year ago?
Yeah, I mean that's actually what we were going by. I mean, we were thinking like Golovkin was going to TKO by round 8. Like we were going by that old Golovkin.
Right. And, well, yeah, and it's one fight, like just the Jacobs fight, I could say, okay, he had a bad night.
Yeah,
maybe he was hurt.
That's exactly what I was going by. I was like, it's just one fight. That's not enough information.
Right.
To be like, yeah, but now.
And I kept telling myself too, because a lot of guys, especially in this day and age, 35 is not young, but it's certainly not, super old. Guys can be effective till they're almost 40 now. So it's, and Triple G kind of reminds me of Michael Jordan, like back in the day when Jordan started to get old. He was still fucking awesome because he had the basics down. He had the fundamentals down like nobody else. So he was effective even as an old player. And Golovkin's kind of that way. Yeah,
And
but
another thing too, Golovkin's also not a guy that has taken a lot of damage throughout his career too, so that's a benefit to him.
I thought
Right.
Golovkin lost his speed even more. I mean, the Golovkin we saw against Lemieux and Rubio, I don't think that was the same Golovkin in terms of his timing. I think his timing was way off. I thought, and his speed was drastically so. I mean, I think he beat Canelo on pure heart and toughness, and in terms of his ring IQ. I mean,
Do
as
you
far
think
as
it's also like a bit of a mental thing too? Like he doesn't believe in his power as much as he used to?
I don't think
um,
Golovkin was ever like that because really, if you think about it, Golovkin was never a guy that was like just. I mean, he did have moments where he could take you all with one shot, but it was more like a sustained beatdown that he
Right.
did.
Yeah,
He's
but
very
he never
methodical.
really
Yeah.
Guys,
went for that at
that,
all. He just kind of just tried to rely on boxing knowledge more than anything.
can I say
Which
something? Can we give some credit to Canelo though?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I
he
mean, because
absolutely.
I know, yeah, Golovkin did look old and stuff, but like, I think Canelo fought a pretty good fight despite
He did.
his issues with stamina. Though.
No, the only thing that I can really fault Canelo for last night was fighting in spurts or not keeping his offense like consistently moving. He was too worried about that big shot coming in and laying against the ropes. But outside of that, that was he fought a great fucking fight. That was outstanding.
I think Canelo fought the perfect fight in terms of winning 3, 4, 5 rounds, making it
Yeah.
competitive. Arguably, like some people thinking it was a draw or he won. In terms of the actual fight, I don't think he did enough to win because I mean he took off 2 minutes of a lot of the rounds and or 1.5
Yeah.
minutes. I mean sitting on the ropes. I mean it's good to avoid getting knocked out to get counted, but I mean against a faded Golovkin, I think Canelo could have done a bit better than that. I mean I think he could be scratching his head. I mean Golovkin, I'd say Golovkin for effort from round 4 to onwards. I think I'd give him a 10. I mean he was non-stop pressing. He was trying his best. I mean, Canelo, I thought was gassed from the 4th or 5th round, and
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
looking for the second wind, and he wasn't making use of the time. I think he threw away a lot of those minutes of the time of the rounds as well. I think. I mean,
and a
I
lot of
was
that was also Triple G letting him rest and take the time away.
yeah.
Right.
Because you can
Well, that's
because you can visually see him tired. Like there were points where he would be on the ropes, and Triple G would have Canelo would be open to target practice, and Triple G would just put up the high guard and stare at him.
and throw that pity pat jab.
Yeah, the little pity pat, just tap
Yeah.
Willie Monroe jab.
Yeah, both
Yeah,
guys.
it-
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say
that-
this though. I want to take back what I said about Canelo being on PEDs because I think his stamina would be a little bit better if he actually was.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting because some people are saying, well, if Canelo would have had the stamina, he would have been able to sustain the action that he created in the first 3 rounds. First of all, that's like saying, well, what if Mike Tyson would have been 6'5"? I mean, it just doesn't work that way. I think it's clear at this point that Canelo. I don't know if this guy does some. I don't know if he does any road work or something, but it doesn't seem like it. He, like Hamed said, the guy was tired after the 4th round. It's like, what the hell's going on here? And here's the other thing. I don't think Canelo did himself any favors by proclaiming that he won 7 or 8 rounds. I mean, already people hated him for not having taken the Triple G fight sooner. Now he should have acted with some humility and said, listen, I thought it was a close fight, let's do it again. No, instead he has the goal to say, hey, I thought I won 7 or 8 rounds. And when the Mexican fans were booing him, that's when you know that the decision was bad.
Yep.
Well, did you guys pay attention to how passive Canelo's corner was too? They never told him going into the 10th and 11th round, hey, you need some knockdowns or a knockout to win. It was just they kept saying, we got him. He's slow.
They knew it was up. They knew it was up.
But I mean, I always think of Manny Stewart. You know what I mean? Get out there and knock that motherfucker out, or you're behind. You don't need this shit.
You do not need another decision. You do not need it.
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
That's what he would say to Klitschko.
Yeah, or even Teddy Atlas, in one of his corner tirades, go
Come
out
on,
and
get it together. Get it together.
Yeah, I mean, where was that? Canelo's corner was so passive, and I thought your guy's way down on the cards. Even if you know that you're probably going to get the decision, wouldn't you want your guy to? They told him in the 12th round you got to do something, and he did. But like I thought, where's that? Where's the fire from rounds 4 to 11? You know.
That's true. I think this decision didn't do Canelo any favors. I mean,
No.
I'm on the fence of terms of I don't think it's as bad as some people are making out. I think if Golovkin lost, I would have been really like
Yeah, that would have been a complete
yeah.
disgrace.
that would have been bad. But a draw, I think, considering Canelo
Yeah, at the very least, he got
yeah.
to maintain his titles.
It's the
Look at my
118,
belt.
110. That's
And I mean, look at this. Wait, one sec. Stanley Christopher Dulu for the Trout fight gave him a 118-109 scorecard. CJ Ross for the Mayweather fight 114-114. Levi Martinez for the Lara fight 170-111. I mean, Cotto fight Dave Moretti, who surprisingly probably put out the best scorecard, gave him a 190-109 for Cotto, and then Adelaide Bird a 180-110. I mean, this was expected from me. So for a draw, I think was the most. I think as a Golovkin fan or a neutral, I think that was probably good that he managed to get that. I mean, Golovkin, I thought, had to drop him at least once or twice to get the decision.
Yeah.
And on the scorecard, I would have had to have dropped him once, I think. I mean, that round 7, I don't know how that judge gave Canelo that round, but I mean, it is bad. I understand why people are like angry at the decision and that, especially that one scorecard.
Is there anyone here that thinks? Sorry, reverse. Go for it.
All right, so we all saw Triple G last night, and we think that's just the regular him now, right?
Yeah,
So,
in decline.
How do you think that he would fare if before he rematches Canelo, he went and he fought Saunders?
Beats the fuck out of Saunders still. Saunders looked like shit versus
yeah.
Monroe. Did you see the fight? Monroe looked.
Yeah, I have seen
Monroe
it.
looked like shit. But yeah.
Thank you, Victor. You just saved my vocal cords 5 minutes of fucking screeching. Oh my god! Exactly, dude. Exactly. That guy is one of the weakest fucking title holders I have ever seen in any weight class, in any fucking era. I always say that him and Wilder are the two weakest title holders of this era or today. But Saunders is he's fucking atrocious. He's like Felix Sturm and Wilder combined. You know what I mean?
Oh.
He fucking hides over in his little European cave, fights bums, and then goes on Twitter and talks real big and never does a fucking thing.
I would have a hard time saying that anybody is worse than Wilder. I mean, Wilder got damaged by a person who only knew how to throw a jab.
That's true. It's a good point.
It's kind of a stretch to say anybody is worse than Wilder.
Yeah, well
And it doesn't get much
worse.
worse than the Windmill Man. It doesn't.
When you think about it, what's really worse? Not defending your title like Saunders did for a very long time, or defending your title against a bunch of bums?
I mean, neither one of them are really acceptable from somebody who calls himself a world champion. I mean, you can either watch Wilder's circus act in the ring, or you can read Billy Joe Saunders' tweets.
Well, that's kind of like asking, would you rather die by burning or drowning? Well, they both fucking suck. Neither one is acceptable. You know what I mean?
Did any of you guys watch the whole fight? I mean, that sucked. I mean,
the Saunders and Monroe shit.
Yeah,
I tried to watch it. I would go to sleep and
delete that fight.
You guys did better than I did.
I tried. I got to like the 10th round. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I thought about it and then just fucking walked away.
And then after all of that, like crying and dream speech Willie Monroe was giving,
stood in front of him and did fucking nothing.
He would just it's not Willie Monroe. I think he thinks a lot of fights are staring contests.
Right.
Of course, because he can't punch.
I mean, people. And have you noticed if you've watched any of Willie's press conferences, he seems to be really sensitive to people talking about the Triple G fight.
Yeah.
Everybody that Triple G has beat was rooting for Canelo last night. They all hate the guy because they got their ass beat. I mean, fuck. Did you guys see the reaction video Danny Jacobs put up?
I didn't.
The last night of this morning.
I haven't seen it.
You can find. I don't have a link for it. Otherwise, I would share it with you guys. It popped up on my timeline. But in a nutshell, before they read the decision, he's there with his son on the couch, and they're both like, his son's like, "But you're for Canelo," and he's like, "That's right, son." And we don't want Triple G to win. Blah 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 blah. They're very anti-Triple G.
Wait a minute.
I got it.
If you thought you beat Triple G, wouldn't you want him to win so you can just rematch him and get his belts?
I got it. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. And watch his reaction. He changes his tune from right after the scores are read. All of a sudden, he gets really honest and down to earth. All the bullshit just goes away.
Jacobs doesn't actually want to fight Golovkin again. Jacobs wants to.
No, he doesn't, because like he could have easily. Because Triple G said, "Yeah, I give you rematch, yeah," and then Daniel said, "Well, I want to think about my future."
Yeah,
But
Jacobs
If
wants
a guy has four belts in your division, that is your future. There's nothing to think about.
exactly. Well, there is when Al Heyman's your boss.
I mean, there's nothing to think about, but how long until he just lets you out of your contract because he can't solicit any more fights out of you.
Right.
That's true, but
Yeah.
I'd rather have seen Saunders and Jacobs. Monroe, that was disappointing. Him being mandatory challenger. I mean, that fight.
That would have been terrible.
That fight finished at 1 o'clock here in the night, so we couldn't really sleep before the Golovkin fight to get a rest. But then the Golovkin Canelo build started at 1 o'clock on Box Nation. I think same as the HBO one. So, and that fight was so bad. I mean, that made me think about Rigo at times, and I was thinking this is as bad as a Rigo. I mean, Monroe was posing, and I mean, Saunders sucks. I mean, he just sucks here. No one really likes it. That fight was bad.
Yeah, Willie Monroe is one of those fighters who doesn't understand that boxing, it is a sport where you have to obtain victory, but it is also an entertainment business.
Yep.
I'm just so disappointed in Monroe. I'm very disappointed in him.
Yeah, I was too. I figured he would actually like let his hands go and show some of his courage, but he just let Willie Monroe keep the belt.
Oh, but one thing about that though, his corner was telling him that he was fucking winning the entire time. I heard that. It was like up to the 7th round or so. They were like, "It's okay, you're winning." Like, no, the fuck he isn't. Tell him to do something. Don't just because if you tell a fighter that, they're not gonna do anything more because they feel like they've already done enough. You can't lie to your fighter like that.
I still think he won about 3 or 4 rounds, but Saunders, look, that was bad. I mean, for Saunders, he looked horrible in that fight. I mean, that's 2 back-to-back bad decisions.
Saunders is trash. Saunders is fucking trash.
Wait, has anybody seen his fight with Andy Lee?
Yeah.
Did he win that fight? Like, honestly, did he? When you watched it, did you think he won?
No, yeah, he won. He dropped Lee twice or 3 times, I think. So.
Oh, because I haven't seen it. I just
once. It was twice. You're right. It was. Was it 2 or 3 times? It was at least twice. Yeah.
I thought the guy he fought before Monroe beat him.
Akavov.
Yeah. He lost that shit. No, Saunders lost that fight. That was a fucking hometown.
Yeah.
Saunders lost that shit.
I never watched that fight.
No, it's not a great.
You're lucky.
Like that. Yeah, it's not. It's nothing you should go out of your way to watch. But
yeah, don't waste your time.
Don't waste part of your life watching that shit.
It was a majority decision, though, so I did read a lot of people thought it was a controversial decision. I mean, I'd rather have seen Saunders against Lemieux or Jacobs. I mean, Monroe,
they
I don't know how
beat the fuck out of him. Anybody that's like in the legitimate top 7 middleweight beats the shit out of Saunders.
I know, like the only reason Lemieux doesn't knock out other people is because those are bigger opponents. Those aren't middleweights that he fights. I mean, he can't knock them out.
So what do you guys reckon should happen next? I mean, I wanted Golovkin obviously to get the win, but I mean,
well, Golovkin, he has okay, so he obviously should have won last night, but
okay, hold on. Firstly, why do you have a horn in the back all the time?
It doesn't sound like a horn to me.
Huh?
What is it?
Sounds like somebody had too much Mexican food last night.
Sounds like somebody's got a dildo on or something. You got a dildo on your desktop or something?
Yeah.
What?
See again, what the hell? Alright, sorry, Hamid, what was the question?
So I was thinking, I mean, if Golovkin won the fight against, if he got the decision against Canelo, which obviously I would have liked to, but I mean, being in Vegas, being with those judges, Canelo being the home fighter, Golden Boy show, I mean, I still think, I mean, you should take the Saunders fight in December. Try and get the belts and then think about a rematch with Canelo.
Honestly, I think the best thing for Golovkin right now would be to take a Billy Joe Saunders fight just to, become undisputed. And I think that fight should happen pretty quickly. I think the quicker the match
December.
happens, yeah, exactly, December. The faster that match happens, the better it is for Golovkin. The more time he takes off, the worse for him.
Yeah, especially with him slowing down now. Yeah, you don't want a big gap in between this fight and the next one.
What do you guys reckon? See if Golovkin struggles or doesn't knock Saunders out. I envisage. I think he will knock him out, and he'll do it in
I
about
don't think.
six, 7 rounds. But see if he looks bad or gets hit a lot. Would you say he should be thinking about retirement? Because I mean, he is slowing down quite a lot. I don't think Saunders is the guy to
I mean,
expose him to a different level.
look, I don't think he should think about retirement right now because he just beat Canelo. Canelo is a top tier opponent. He's a top tier middleweight. I mean, let's be honest. This is not a point where we should be thinking, "Oh, Golovkin's done. He needs to be retired." No, he's still top level. He's still an elite fighter. This is not retirement time. Maybe next or maybe
Another
2019.
year.
Yeah.
Now, what's the biggest fear when you fight Golovkin? What's the first thing you think about when you're gonna fight Golovkin?
The left
Power.
hook to the
Beats the shit
body,
out
The
of me.
power, or the power, right?
right?
Now,
And that's
did
the last
Canelo
thing to
take?
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but did Canelo
I
take
think the way he cuts the
Golovkin's
window.
punches though? That's what I'm going at. In the rematch, it's gonna be completely different. Now, Canelo's gonna come in knowing that he cannot be hurt by Golovkin. It's gonna be a completely different fight, though.
Well, I think a lot of the reason he
I
was
think
able to take Golovkin as well as he did is because he was just on the back foot and just slipping a lot of the punches. I think in the rematch he might get a little bit braver and try to come
Well,
forward
he
more.
was Canelo was on the ropes at some point, and he challenged Golovkin to come forward, like he did against Chavez Jr. at some point, and Golovkin didn't want to trade, and like Hamed or somebody said, I
Right.
forgot that because he was weary of Canelo's counterpunching abilities. Though. I
But
mean,
in the
Golovkin didn't want to trade. Let's be honest. And yeah, I know after the fight, Golovkin said like, well, he was running, and they were like, yeah, it's true that Canelo moved a lot, but there were various times where he was he was leaning on the ropes basically, and he was inviting Golovkin, sorry, to come forward, and he wasn't.
Yep.
was I the only
I
one
think
that
Canelo
that
might win. I think Canelo might win the rematch. I got a feeling if
it's
they have a
possible?
I agree
if they
with
ha-
you.
Yeah, it's
I mean
possible.
if they have a rematch in May or next September, I mean Golovkin will be even more older. I mean
Yeah, it'll be
he's turning
36 and a half.
and exact.
Yep.
I think he's got a year left, and that's against opponents like Saunders and I don't know maybe someone at super middleweight. But I mean Canelo, I think is just gonna get better. I mean he didn't look that good in terms of conditioning and stamina, but I mean I think he could work on that.
Oh, also,
Was
yeah.
was
So,
uh,
go ahead. What were you going to say before that? You're going to say something.
I was gonna say, was I the only one that thought Canelo was tired and gassed in the middle of the fight, and it looked like he was there to be stopped or
Oh, I
taken out?
thought so. I thought he was coming. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
He
he
yeah.
looked.
was.
I don't know if you guys can see me, but he looked like this.
Oh no, yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah.
He had that done look, and I kept yelling, "Come on, Gennady, finish this shit!"
He
And
didn't.
yeah,
He
Golovkin
couldn't.
Sure
couldn't.
didn't.
He couldn't.
Right,
It's the
right,
age. I think it's
right.
the age factor.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I wanted to know if I was the only one that saw that because the a Golovkin of a year or 2 years ago, it
Would have
wouldn't even
stopped
gotten to
him.
that point. Yeah, it would have been
Yeah,
over
he
much
would
much
have
earlier.
just.
Yeah, he would have run through him, but like I was so frustrated last night. It was just like, come on, the guy's there to be taken, and I could tell he was tired. You know,
That's the
I mean,
worst
I
part
think.
about getting old is that you
I
can
think
see the openings, but you can't quite push it to the level,
right?
the prior
yeah,
Can't
levels.
pull
that's a
the
good point.
trigger.
I think Golovkin did good. I mean, people are gonna grade him like I think Splitty made the point that he did because he hasn't knocked the last two opponents out, and people are used to seeing him knock people out because he hasn't had the test. I mean, considering it was a 12-round fight, I thought he won both of the fights against Jacobs and
Mhm.
Canelo. I thought he done good from the round four, same as the Jacobs fight. I thought he started slow in the Jacobs fight as well, maybe a bit more slower in that fight. I thought the first three rounds, both of them went to an ending. I mean, I thought he won the first round against Canelo, but the second and third, I thought his work rate went a bit down, and I was thinking he needs to pick it up, and then he did from the fourth round on. But I
Mhm.
think only thing that will hurt him when he was in his physical prime from 2012 to 2014, 15, and up till the Lemieux fight, he didn't have any challenges to someone to challenge him to take him 12 rounds. I mean, we'll never find out if he was too good or if, he was avoided and he's not as good as we probably thought he was. But, I mean, the Golovkin that beat Murray and Lemieux, I mean, his timing was exceptional. I mean, I know Lemieux and Murray ain't no Canelo or Jacobs, but I seen things in those
was
fights.
better than Jacobs, honestly.
But those shots he's landing on those guys, some of those shots were, I don't think those opponents seen. I mean, some of these shots and Canelo that he's landing, I mean, I could see from a mile away from the camera, and I don't know if his timing is the main thing, which he's probably drastically slowed down, because a lot of those shots, I thought he was kind of clubbing and he wasn't putting the leverage he normally puts on.
Yeah, he wasn't twisting on any of his punches. A lot of them just seemed like arm punches.
Well, did you guys notice Golovkin usually has that overhand right or left that goes like around the ear behind the guard and beats the shit out of people?
Canelo's team was so terrified of that punch.
Yep, and last night
Like,
he
you
never
saw the
threw any of
little-
those. They were
I was
just
about to say, like, where was it? It wasn't
Yeah,
there.
because that's another factor that you have to think about. Triple G, he does not want to get disqualified by Kenny Bayless for nothing.
well, that's it's funny because I was really worried about Bayless going into the fight more so than the judges. I thought if Canelo wobbles or cuts Triple G, even with a headbutt, Bayless will find a way to stop it before he ever hits the canvas. And then it turns out.
I was so sure that if Golovkin does that dumb shit where he lets somebody hit him, I was so sure that was going to be like an instant win for
Yeah, because you guys, did you see the what was the last fight? What was George Grove's last opponent? Judenov, right?
Yeah.
Did you see that fight?
I didn't
I seen
actually.
the stoppage.
Where Judenov, he was so successful in the earlier fight, but then he started to eat a couple punches, and he was in the middle of the ring, and then the ref just stopped it.
I mean, that's British boxing for you. I'd say I don't think Kenny Bayless was gonna stop that fight. I mean, the worst thing that I thought when Roden Kovalev fought, I really wanted to see if Kenny Bayless refereed one of those fights. I mean, I think Robert Bird is a good referee, but I would have liked to have seen the rematch if Kenny Bayless refereed it. I mean, Tony Weeks had a bad night, but I wasn't really too concerned about Kenny Bayless. The only point where I was a bit concerned was when I think in the locker room, Chepo brought something up about him going low or one of his shots going high. I thought, like one of the guys said, he could have got disqualified by that shot he hit Rubio with. I think, is it illegal or is it a legal shot? Because it's on the top of the forehead.
You mean on the top of the head?
Yeah, it hits right there.
Because I heard someone.
I think that's legal.
It is.
Someone said it's illegal.
Yeah, I think that's legal. Just you can't go to the back of the head.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And we did, like, in the Dominic Wade fight, Triple G hit Dominic Wade a little bit behind the head.
Yeah, and then also, like, some of the things you have to think about, like, is it intentional? Like, how bad is the foul? Is it?
No, I don't think Triple G, when he does that hook, that's intentional at all.
Yeah,
I just think
not.
he loads up on it to be really wide, and then his opponent gets a little bit closer to him than he thought, or he puts his head down, and then the punch lands on the back of the head.
And I've also seen Triple G go to the body, make a guy kind of hunch over, and then that punch comes over the top of the guard and clip guys behind the ear because they're in a bad position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
have you guys seen? Oh, I'm sorry, Himid. Go ahead.
One second, we'll go back to the Canelo. I just wanted to see, what did you guys think of the undercard? I don't really pay too much attention. I seen a bit of the Caballero fight, but
fuck that undercard. And fuck all of those fighters on it. It was garbage.
It was just a Golden Boy promotion card.
Superfly should have been the undercard.
Superfly would have been fantastic.
That would have been beautiful.
As an undercard.
I'm a big believer that Superfly happened because Golden Boy was the lead promoter in this fight, and wouldn't let Tom have any of those fighters on that card.
That's actually a good point. That's probably it.
Yeah, I believe
because
that.
when I got my tickets for Superfly and when I was there watching it, I kept thinking, man, this is the undercard to next week. You know, a week early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or what it should have been.
I mean, that being said, I actually kind of enjoyed the Diego De La Hoya and Caballero match. I didn't dislike that match at all.
I mean, they weren't really bad fights.
No,
but they could have been much better than that.
What it is for me, it's not the level of talent. or lack thereof that was there last night, because they're all pretty decent fighters or guys coming up. But I can't stand, and I know I'm probably in the minority, but I can't stand watching a bunch of guys that can't fucking punch the noodles.
I
I
can't. I
can't
don't like
stand
that
it.
either, especially against
When you
low tier
know,
opposition.
right,
Like if
right.
everybody
When you
knows,
know,
real
right,
boxing
when you
fans
know that
know
it's
if you
point 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
real
hate
boxing
Sorry,
fans
Rivers.
know that real boxing fans know that even if you don't have power, if you're against a bum, just throw a bunch of punches,
Right.
Right,
throw more.
right,
What
I
the
mean,
fuck
right.
is that,
people
man? Like, ugh.
people act like, I mean, like what's a fighter who has very little power but has some knockouts?
Tim
Like
Bradley.
Yeah, Tim,
yeah,
Tim.
like
Tim
Joe
Bradley fought like he
Kawasaki.
didn't know that he didn't have power. That's how he
Right.
fought.
What about before the Marquez fight? Juan Diaz,
Mm.
the
Like
baby
Joe
bull. He fought.
Kawasaki. Joe
Yeah, yeah.
Kawasaki, he had hurt his hand, so he couldn't throw punches the correct way. So what he would do is he knew he didn't have power like that, so he would have to slap you for his hands, but he would slap you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me that he even did that, because honestly, in my experience, that fucks your hands up more.
Yeah, when it lands like that, like sideways.
Yeah, because it kind of bends your wrist a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because watching replays of all the undercard fights, like the slow mo replays, those guys were all landing punches like that, like sideways instead of straight on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a
mean,
Because
good
none of those
point.
guys can punch; they're all slappers, and they were throwing arm punches. So,
Agreed.
I mean,
That
as far as
undercard,
I'm concerned, the undercard was one of the worst I've seen all year.
yeah, that Caballero fight looked decent, but I didn't really watch the full fight. I seen him bursts. I mean, I had to drink an energy drink just to keep myself awake. I mean, it was
Yeah. I'm sure that was rough as hell for you, because you're like in the UK and shit. That was.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like 4 o'clock or something. So and,
Oh,
Oh.
Diego De La Hoya fight. Oh, that was hard to watch. I just on my phone. I was trying to get out the room every 2 minutes just to not look at that fight. I mean, that was a horrible undercut fight. I mean, both of them, you could see it's not going to end in a KO, going 12 rounds, and it just when you could see when two guys can't crack. I mean, who ended up winning? I didn't even really.
Oh, Diego De La Hoya won.
Diego did, yeah.
By decision,
Swept it, I think.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it was pretty much-
Cabrera won like one round.
Yeah,
one or two
one
rounds,
at
but,
the most.
yeah.
Courtesy round.
Guys-
Yeah.
guys, I have
What's
some
that?
very
No.
exciting news here. Over here at the BDA headquarters, the Research and Development Branch has developed some very interesting technology, really state of the art, where we can actually delve into the minds of boxing fans and hear real time what they're thinking. And we actually have a recording of the collective unconscious of every boxing fan after the decision for the main event was announced, where Gennady Golovkin was suffered a dubious draw. And here's what people are thinking about Adelaide Bird.
Oh, you cunt! What a cunt! Cunt! You're the fucking reason this country's going down the drain. Cunt! You blow it! You're a fucking retard! Fuck you, you fucking whore.
Now, I think that's a little rough, Let's consider that she is a woman. She deserves respect. She deserves, or pity or mercy. And if you haven't realized that I'm being sarcastic yet, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Listen, let's talk about Adelaide Bird. Because really, like Montero said, and I think Victor Atkinson said that too, or one of you guys said that, what's going to happen here? What's going to
Nothing.
happen to her?
Nothing.
No. She's gonna get the CJ Ross treatment.
Oh yeah, I was
She's
about
gonna-
to say that. I was just about to say that shit too.
She's good. What did Bob Bennett say? She's going to take a break from large scale fights or big scale fights, which means she's going to quietly go away, do a few more side jobs like she did last night, and then just be retired with a big fat paycheck and never heard from again.
This isn't actually her first time doing some fuck shit like this, though. She's done
Right.
this quite a few
Well,
times.
That's why I was so pissed off last night after the fight, and when they announced who the judges were going to be for the fight, I just thought, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Because listen, I understand if it's a close fight and you don't know who to give the rounds to. I can see how somebody would give 9 straight rounds to somebody, even if the fight is close. This fight, I think the best way to say it is that it was competitive, but Golovkin was clearly doing more each round. Like Hamed said, Canelo's taking off 2 minutes of every round. Like, you can't win a fight like that. So at this point, it was Victor who said this, that we got to start doing something. It's time to stop paying for this type of matches. the best thing we as boxing fans can do is we gotta show our point of view through our pockets, meaning we stop paying
That's
for
right.
fights. So I know it's hard because we're all a bunch of junkies at the end of the day. You know, we say we're not
Stream.
gonna watch a fight and then last minute we watch it or we buy a pay-per-view. But I mean, it's
Stream.
gotta stop, guys.
No, that's the only way you can affect change in the sport is to, hit them in the pocketbook, or the bank account. That's the only thing these guys respond to.
Yep.
Yeah, but then that's
Let me ask you guys a question. One sec.
Yeah.
Was that more frustrating? Because I mean, when I looked at Montero's video, I thought he should have done that for the. I mean, I credit him for doing it. Finally, someone who stood up. But the Kovalev one fight, the judges and the Tony
Both
Weeks,
Kovalev fights.
Yeah, the Tony Weeks referee, and I mean that sucked as well. I mean, those were hard to watch. I mean, that turned me off a lot as well. I mean, the Pacquiao Bradley decision, but I think that was such a long time ago. I mean, people I think were just gonna give boxing another chance, but I mean the Kovalev Ward fight, I thought that decision I thought was really bad, and they didn't really do anything about the judges. Because I mean, in the second fight, I thought Kovalev was also winning that, and surprisingly,
I agree.
Fuck him again.
two of the judges had the Ward ahead again in that fight.
Which reminds me, not to digress again, but Victor, you were asking me how the HBO crew was last night.
Oh yeah.
Terrible.
Max mentioned Ward being pound for pound number one more than a
Oh
couple
my
of
god.
times.
Oh yeah.
And-
can I get on another thing too?
Yeah,
What's up?
I'm tired. He needs to stop saying that the Kovalev low blows were body shots. He
Yes,
says that
bro,
on every
yes.
card. Those were
Yes.
not body shots. He compared Inouye's
I will say this,
fantastic body shots
I-
to those
Yeah.
low blows.
I am so fucking glad Terrence Crawford finished Ndongo with a body shot while Ward was commentating. That was beautiful. I'm so glad that happened.
Stop
Yeah,
that crap!
it-
Stop it!
yeah, it was pretty bad last night. He kept, what was it? The body work of Canelo reminds me of how when Ward fought Kovalev and stopped him. And
Jesus.
it was, I just was like, no,
No, it's not the same thing.
right. One shot is to the nuts and the other one's to the abdomen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. That's why I don't like Kellerman. Look, some of you guys might dig his style, but
Listen, Kellerman is like, he wishes that he was just a black guy.
Kellerman wants to fuck Andre Ward.
Yeah, he wants Andre Ward to stick his finger up his butt or something like that.
Well, the way they talk, you'd think it already happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
He posted this picture of him. It was Ward, Max Kellerman, and Andre Ward's wife, and he said this person. He said this person has been with me all my life, and I'll always love them.
That
Well, I
sounds
think,
like a
did you guys
fucking-
see that one picture that the Haymanites put out on Twitter where it had Max Kellerman holding Andre Ward or vice versa, like a bride being brought to the into the house? Carrying him? That was great. But, yeah, it was pretty bad last night.
So I mean, would it have been better if Ward was commentating, or would that have been?
Now,
bad?
see, here's my thing.
Oh,
Ward,
God, no.
Ward is a far better commentator than he is a fighter.
No, so if you
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
If he was commentating
Ouch.
on a Golovkin fight, I mean, it's something personal between him and Golovkin, I think. So I don't think that would have been a good option in my opinion. But I haven't heard the HBO commentary.
I don't know how to get rid of that. I'm sorry, Hamed. I don't know how to get rid of that, man.
So was the Roy Jones commentary okay? Because I haven't really watched the HBO feed, but when I got time, I'll try and listen.
Roy was okay last night. I mean, he's kind of like Teddy Atlas, where he kind of goes off and says weird shit, or he's hard to understand. But
He starts making like food references and stuff.
right. His esoteric references to other things.
Mhm.
But like, I think had Ward been there, I mean, Jim and Max were already all over Canelo's dick and anti Golovkin. Following that narrative, I think with the Ward there.
Like I noticed this
Oh,
too. I've
God.
been watching a lot of Triple G's older fights. They are so desperate to like point out
Yes.
the flaws in Triple G.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's an HBO fighter. He's
Yeah,
the
and they
guy
don't
that.
do that.
Yeah, that's
They
what I
don't do that for any other guy. They don't ever do that for Ward. When Ward's sitting here
Right.
eating jabs like they're animal crackers, they don't
Bro,
talk about that.
Ward will be fucking up, and they will talk about how their opponent is like almost fucking up as much, but he's not. Like they
Right.
will talk about
Well,
their flaws instead of anything Ward does wrong.
well,
I know
if you go
people.
back
People
and
hold him so highly as a pound for pound fighter, and I'll be telling people like he can't even dodge the simplest punch in boxing.
So
Like if you
what
go
do you,
and this guy, yeah, how many of you know Artorias Boxing?
yep.
Yeah. Oh, I'm waiting for
He
his
made
video to come out about the Canelo.
Yeah, he says he's gonna make
Fight.
a Golovkin Canelo punch count video. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
if you watch his vid on Kovalev Ward 2, every little punch is a jab. It's just jab, jab, jab over and over again.
so what do you guys reckon? Who is pound for pound now?
I think
Triple
it's
G.
still open, but
Triple
like
G.
I have to go with Golovkin
Yeah,
too.
Triple G.
Shit, yeah,
Hey,
that's
But
I can't think
did
of
you
anyone
guys
about it.
guys? Errol Spence is number 10
Ooh,
on the ring.
Yeah, I saw that.
I disagree.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I like Spence. I think he could be a pound for pound guy at some point, but I don't think he's done enough yet.
He
No, he
has.
hasn't. He's only had one
And,
world level fight.
Yeah.
and you know what? I don't care. I don't care how good a guy is. If you're gonna fight fucking once a year, I'm not putting you on any list. You know
I
what I
know,
mean?
like
Right.
Rigo, the fact
Yeah.
that Rigo is still on that list is just pure biased. It's
Oh,
nothing but that.
absolutely.
Rigo has fought
Yeah, you can.
nobody. You
Yeah.
can
Yep.
he Donaire isn't but a B level victory in itself.
Yeah.
That was like 4 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And when he fights Lomachenko's probably gonna drown him in punches and combinations and embarrass him. And then you'll hear the excuses. Oh, Rigondeaux was smaller. He was old.
Oh,
There's
he
no
had to
way
come
he's
up
gonna
with weight.
win.
Yeah.
He had to come up in weight, even though he one time got the catch weight and the rehydration clause that he asked for,
Yeah.
Right.
and he just pulled out.
That's a good point. I'd say if Lomachenko wins that fight, I got him number one. I'm getting sick of these guys. I mean, even Gennady Golovkin. I mean, I'm gonna call it how it is. He's had two close fights. I thought like he would probably won both of them, but I mean, the only guy I see in the
I mean,
top 10
I don't think the Jacobs fight was close.
All right,
Same.
that's fair.
No.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But what I'm trying to say, well, Jacobs wasn't. I don't think elite fighter, but the only guy I see who's dominating his opponents is Lomachenko. I mean, I know.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Yeah,
like
but you
I
got to
agree
remember,
his
like
own.
Mariaga is not. Lomachenko isn't fighting. He only fought one
Yeah,
weight bully, and that was Salido.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Walter. No, Walters is a good win, and the way he made it. I mean, if he beats up Rigo, and say if you could add Mikey Garcia, I mean, I'd put him number one. I mean,
I
at the
mean, no,
moment,
you got to remember we haven't seen Rigondeaux fight anybody worth anything since 2013. I mean, I think the simplest featherweights can easily knock Rigo out. Like, I think he gets knocked out by Russell. I think Frampton can probably take him out.
I agree. I think I would have liked to have seen Lomachenko and Santa Cruz fight. I mean, I think that would have done Lomachenko a lot of favors. I mean,
Yeah,
that
and
would have been
the reason we didn't see those fights is I think it's two reasons.
tell
One,
him.
like he knows his chin is nothing. He knows realistically Frampton can probably take him out with one punch. And he can't cash out like that versus Frampton, so he doesn't want to take that. An- Another reason is, well, it's the money as well. Like him taking 20% of a Frampton fight is less than him taking 20% of a Lomachenko fight.
That's true. So what have the guys in got? Have they got Ward one and
They got
Golovkin two,
Ward
or have they
1.
got?
I think they got Golovkin 2. They got Rigondeaux like 6.
I don't know. I'm not sure. If it's between Golovkin and Ward, I'd go Golovkin because I think Ward
I
lost that
wouldn't
fight.
put Ward on my pound for pound list at all.
No, hell no.
He's not a high level fighter.
You know, he's very good at what he does, but he's never ever beaten. Ward has never ever beaten an elite fighter
No,
ever.
he has not had a good victory since Froch.
yeah.
Right, and I think Froch is a one-dimensional, like B
I know
plus kind of
Froch,
guy.
guys,
He
he
is.
throws his body shots like he's pushing in drawers. Like you've seen it before. He'll dig his elbow into his side, and then he'll just like slap it.
I mean,
Okay.
I'd go back. I'd say Kessler was a good win, but that was like 10 years
It's
ago.
Mark.
Nah, that's not a
Look,
good win.
No,
Yes,
Kessler, you
No,
don't
no.
remember.
would be a good
you
win
don't.
if he didn't foul the entire fight.
I know
It
you
would've
don't
been
remember.
And
Like
and
just
and,
look up "Son of Goat" on
right.
YouTube. Look
And,
up "Son of
and
Goat."
you have to remember by the time Ward fought Kessler had been kind of ruined by Calzaghe.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
agree,
even
but
before that, when Kessler was at his best, he was also just a B or B plus guy. He
okay,
wasn't like a somebody at the very top level of the
okay,
sport.
okay, I agree. That's what I was gonna say. But what I was trying to say, I mean, since 2013, well, he beat Edwin Rodriguez, and I mean, that wasn't exactly a good name, but I mean, he's beaten Kovalev, but that was a controversial decision. Majority of people
You
think
said you think
Kovalev won.
Adrian Rodriguez was a good win.
No, no, no. I said since he beat Edwin Rodriguez, he beat Kovalev, which was a good win. I mean, from that fight, he was in that fight for 2 years, didn't he? He didn't really fight anyone, and Kovalev was a good name if you beat him fair and square, but.
Yeah, but he never beat
Yeah,
Kovalev.
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. So,
And
so I
here's
can't, so I can't put what I want. That's why my reason would be. I mean, I wouldn't say he hasn't. He's fought elite fighters. I mean, Kovalev was an elite fighter. And that was a
Yeah,
thought
Kovalev is
one
definitely an elite.
elite
right,
fighter. So
but
I mean, if he beat him fair and square, then you could say. But I mean, he lost the first fight. I thought that was a bad decision. And the second fight was
Hey,
also very shady.
I was daydreaming other day. I was imagining if Ward had to fight Beterbiev, and I just imagine him getting slapped around the ring, him going hitting the floor, his head flying back against the ropes. You
I
know, him
can
well,
trying
see
to
that.
like he'd be like throwing low blows and like 4 punch combinations, and it still
well,
wouldn't hurt Beterbiev.
well, what's interesting to me is Kovalev was winning both of those fights. He got
Yeah,
jobbed in the first one
definitely.
and got robbed in the second one. We've all heard the whispers about Kovalev's personal issues, that are going on outside of the ring,
Yeah,
which affect.
some people think that like he's not as hungry as he was when he fought like Jean
Right,
Pascal and Cleverly
Mm-hmm.
because of the
right,
money he has received throughout his career.
right, and all the stuff with Jackson and about him being lazy or having a
Yeah,
drinking
Jackson.
problem and
Here's my
all of
thing
that other
with
stuff.
Jackson. My thing with Jackson, I don't feel Jackson really was ever the best like person for Kovalev, like for everything Kovalev
Could
brings
be,
to the table.
could be. But my point was, knowing what we know now about Kovalev and all the problems he has
Mm-hmm.
outside of the ring that have
Yep.
affected him as a fighter, can you guys imagine how
The
he would have
monster.
fucked up Ward?
The
How he would have
fucking
fucked
monster
up
he would
Ward
be.
and retired that guy had
Mm-hmm.
he come in the way he did against Hopkins or
I know
anybody before Hopkins?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
If we got a
God!
Jean Pascal Kovalev,
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! I mean, the guy. I mean,
where Jean
Kovalev did what he
Pascal
did to Ward. Yeah,
where Jean
Kovalev did what he
Pascal
did.
has where
Uh
Jean Pascal has to push Kovalev down, and then he has to run back into the corner to get rest as Kovalev gets up from the push,
huh. Right,
and then Kovalev just
right,
walks into the corner and just drills him with a right hand, and the ref just stops the fight.
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of coming back to the Golovkin fight last night.
And that's one of
Whether
the
it's
things with
age,
yeah, that's one of the things with Golovkin and Kovalev. Like we're not seeing the best versions of these fighters, but they're still winning fights against the
Mm-hmm.
right,
so-called elite
right,
opposition.
right, and that speaks volumes about how good those guys really are.
I
Oh.
know like
You know what I mean?
60% of Kovalev can still easily beat Ward.
Right. That's why I said it. It just you see those points in a fighter's career or life where they go from being the guy that to somebody a lot less or a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw that last night with Golovkin,
Yeah, like
and
Roman
and I saw that
Gonzalez.
and I saw that
Like
with
Roman Gonzalez, I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna try my best to make a video detailing the reasons why I think he lost to Versailles the second time around. But the first fight, like Roman Gonzalez, he didn't have his footwork that great. He wasn't as fast. His head
right.
movement wasn't as great. But he still beat the brakes off Versailles in that first fight.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he sure did.
I thought the
And that's
second
how we
fight
know
came.
how he's an all-time great. Like all-time greats do
Why
stuff
are
like that.
people discrediting Roman
I
Gonzalez
know
so
people are
badly?
disgusting with that stuff. People are saying that's Adrian Broner.
No,
Adrian Broner has done fucking nothing and lost
I know.
to every single elite
Adrian
fighter
Broner
badly
lost to.
fought.
Adrian Broner got drilled and embarrassed by the C+ level Maidana.
These
I wouldn't go as
fucking
far as C+.
assholes.
But yeah.
yeah.
And people, like, it's not Roman Gonzalez's fault that you do not follow his division.
Fucking exactly. People act like
You,
it's
like, you will sit there. Like, do you realize Roman Gonzalez had to go through so much when he came through Nicaragua? You watch those old prospect Nicaraguan fights, those guys were trying to knock his head off, and he would still beat them. This man has done so much in his career, going all over. Roman Gonzalez was never a guy who said, "Oh, I'm gonna take my WBC lineal flyweight title." Like, he could have easily said, HBO, you want the pound for pound number one? You got to come to Nicaragua and fight me there. I will only fight out of there. I mean, that's what Andre Ward does. He should just do it.
Right.
Same thing with Pacquiao. Pacquiao should just say, you know what? I'm tired of being robbed. I get robbed everywhere I go. Australia, America. I'm taking it back to the Philippines. You want me? I'm only going to fight out of the Philippines. You better send your undercard fighters there. But he doesn't do that. Roman Gonzalez will fight you anywhere. He won his first title in Japan. He won his second title in Japan. He won his third title in Japan. He won his fourth title in America. He fought a Japanese guy to get his first title. He fought a Mexican to get his second. He fought a Japanese guy to get his third. He fought a Mexican who was more than likely on some steroids, younger than him, and undefeated.
But
And you're really gonna sit there and tell me that that's just a mini bum that got exposed?
No, that's ignorant. I think the second fight, Gonzalez looked in really bad condition.
Yeah, I got the stuff. I'm gonna detail that. Gonzalez was doing many things wrong in that fight. He changed up his trainer, which was a big mistake.
His physical
And yes.
mentally. I mean, I think Rungvisai was a good fighter. I mean, in the second fight.
Yeah, Rungvisai isn't a bum. Rungvisai, he told everybody he trained for the fight twice as long as he did for the last fight. Last fight he had 2 months. This time around he had 4 months. I could see it on the scale, and I could see it in his technique. He definitely was better than he was in the last fight.
Wasn't it 2 weeks or 2 months? I think he said.
It was 2 months. He said 2 months for the first fight. Then he said 4 months for the last fight.
Okay, I thought he said 2 weeks. I was wondering.
No, it was definitely not 2 weeks.
Do people not remember that Juan Gekka's the guy that was like even with fucking Quadras and then the cut happened?
Yeah, and here's the thing with that. Roman had even worse cuts than Quadras had. You didn't see him. You didn't see him quitting. All he did, he would complain about the headbutts constantly, but he didn't quit. He said, "No, I know I'm winning the fight. I know I'm beating this guy. I'm beating the brakes off this guy. I'm drilling him in the face. Let me go. Let me fight."
That's a good point, but back to think, Gonzalez was pound for pound. Now, Ward,
of course, number one.
Same.
People have got Ward number one. If say fights these guys like
here's the thing: Ward was not. After Ward won the Super 6, correct me if I'm wrong, he wasn't but number 10 on the pound for pound list.
I don't think it was number 10. I think it was like 6 or some shit.
He was number 3 or
I think he was higher than 10.
Yeah, he was higher than 10, certainly.
No, he was number 3. He was.
Yeah, it was like number 3 behind like Pacquiao and Mayweather, right?
Or Martinez. I can't remember who was number 3. I think it was. I can't remember really, but I think he was 3 or 4. But what I was trying to say, if he beats Baturbiev and fights Baturbiev and Stevenson and say somehow dominates those fights, wins cleanly, I think then I can make an argument. But I mean, beating Alexander Brandon, Sullivan Barrera, I mean, these are not pound for pound fights. But then
that's not even the same Sullivan Barrera that just beat fucking Shabransky and Joe Smith. Like,
right.
It's not. It was with a different trainer as well.
Yeah.
He stopped training with Barrera because he didn't feel his style and his physical abilities were up to Barrera. I mean, were up to what Abel Sanchez was trying to teach him.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think you guys are discrediting Ward, or are we discrediting, or are we just seeing it how it is?
You're being honest about Ward.
We're not really trying to hate on him. We're just trying to present it as it is.
Yeah, I agree as well. Because I mean, if I look at his resume, I mean, the way Max Kellerman is talking about him all the time.
He calls him the great Andre Ward, even before he beat Copeland.
According to you think talking to Kellerman that Ward had beat like You know what I mean? Every great
Everyone's
fighter
like
that's ever
heavyweight
lived.
and
like
super
everyone.
Hey, he knocked out Hagler, he knocked out Hearns, he knocked out Tyson. You know, what the fuck? I think
I
Kellerman would be
love.
the only guy to favor Andre Ward over Anthony Joshua if that actually happened.
I love like the myth of Ward, how people like make these things up. Like Ward makes all these adjustments mid-fight and always finds a way to win. And like,
I know,
what the
He
like,
fuck
fights
did
the
he
same
I
fucking
hate to
way
say
every
it.
time.
right?
I know I hate to say
Thank
it, but
you.
like I saw Randall Bailey on here last time, and he said like, and here's another thing: he gets graded on the curve constantly.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, fuck
like
yeah.
people say he figured out a way to win. Well, you're supposed to win a fight.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, by that standard, I mean,
Well,
uh,
and they also say
anybody.
that too. Yeah, they also say that when he fights, cab drivers and C-level guys, well, Ward made adjustments in this round and that round and stepped it up. Well, fuck, you're fighting a guy that works part-time at McDonald's.
You should be
You know
Right.
what I mean?
competing and winning
Of-
by KO.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, Roman Gonzalez, he can stop. He stopped Brian Valoria in the ninth,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
but Ward can't even stop Alexander Brand within a 12-round fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ward is kind of his career kind of reminds me of Mayweather's in the way opponents are carefully selected. With the way
Yeah.
he sets up the demands he makes for fights.
But the
I would
And
problem
put it.
is Ward, he's not small enough to run around weight classes. So like,
right.
I think anybody at light heavyweight will beat him. Badu Jack will beat him. Peter BF will beat him. Adonis will beat
Yeah.
him.
I don't know about
See,
Badu
I
Jack.
agree. I agree. I think Stevenson knocks Ward out.
I think he
I
can.
don't know. I don't know about that
Ward,
No,
actually.
because you got to
When I
remember, Kovalev and Adonis are not the same guys. Adonis is just a bad person. If he gets low blowed, he's gonna lose his mind.
That's true.
I think.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Ward beats him. I think Ward beats both of them. I think the only guy who beats him at light heavyweight is probably, apart from Bivol, who I haven't seen enough of, is probably Beterbiev. I'd favor Beterbiev. I mean,
Nah, because
Stevenson
actually I
Ward,
favor Vostok, I favor Beterbiev, and
Gavaz
I
did
don't
look bad in his last fight, and
yeah, Vosdick, he
Stevenson
didn't
before.
like he
But
looked like he
Stevenson's
just
Vostok, I don't
lost
think he
all
gave
the
a fuck.
power in between his last fight. Like we were like
Stevenson
knocked out
Stevenson's
Vinicius
45. I mean,
Gonzalez easily last time, but in his last fight, he just looked like he knew he couldn't lose or something like that.
I think he was just trying to get some rounds
that's
in.
fair
When he
enough. But
actually wanted to end that fight, he ended it. I don't really fault him for that performance at all.
I don't know. I think Ward might be too big even for light heavyweight. I mean, against
Oh,
Beterbiev, I think it'd be interesting, but I think he could make cruiserweight. I mean, I wouldn't say he's Mayweather because I mean he's way too inactive. I mean, he beat whatever
I'll,
he beat.
Yeah, but
That
who
fight
can he
over.
go to cruiserweight and cherry pick?
well, I'll tell you
That's what I'm
what.
trying.
I'll tell you what. Ward didn't have a lot of power at 168. He has even less at 175. If
Mm-hmm.
that dude gets in with 200 pounders, even someone like Usyk who doesn't really punch that hard
Yeah, and a lot
but
of
can
people
move and
say
box,
a
Mm-hmm.
he's
lot of
gonna get
people say
knocked the fuck out.
Usyk
a
moves
lot of
like a
people
goddamn
say
middleweight. That is interesting.
Exactly.
a lot of people say that Kovalev couldn't even survive with today's cruiserweights because of their overall size and skill.
The
Mm-hmm.
Kovalev of post
No,
Hopkins, no.
just like Kovalev period, because you got to remember everybody at cruiserweight is huge. Like by
Right, right.
the
No,
olden
yeah, I think
standards,
it might.
all those guys would have been heavyweights.
No, I agree.
But
I think it. I think it might be a step too far for Kovalev at any stage of his career. But I mean, if Kovalev can't hang at 200, there's no way Ward could because Kovalev's a better fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Of
I
course.
think I think one thing is for sure. I mean, Ward. I think for matchups, I think is perfectly should stay at light heavyweight. I mean, you could make so many fights. I mean, you got Stevenson there, Beterbiev, you got Kovalev 3. If they somehow, I don't think anyone wants to see that, not even me. But
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
think
if
anybody wants to see that. I don't think
yeah,
anybody wants to fight that.
Yeah, he just needs to
Right.
leave it alone and wait till Ward does something.
so Kovalev's
Because
there. You got
he's
Silva
already
Pereira
tried for
still
it 2
there.
times. They're gonna just keep finding ways to mess him over. I know he wants his belts back, but he can't get them as long as they are in possession of Andre Ward.
You know what? The best
Yeah.
option for Ward would be retirement. I think the less we see of him, the better. I think.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine if Ward retires and never does
Yeah.
a fucking thing again.
Yeah.
Go away.
Ward said he was gonna retire after one little robbery from Kovalev.
I mean, look at this. He fought Barrera. He wanted 3 or 2 tune-ups for Kovalev. He fights Kovalev. I mean, that fight took forever to materialize the rematch. I don't think many people wanted to see that because we had a feeling it'll be again like a rematch. We were hoping Kovalev knocks him out, but I mean, then Kovalev.
And I feel it was really kind of coming the second time around. Like
Okay,
Ward was getting desperate.
That's fair enough. But then that fight finishes. Kovalev is back in November. Ward, we don't know what's going on. I mean, he won the fight. I mean, he's
I
just
know, and he supposedly, according to his fans, he dominated.
Ward's not fighting until 2025.
Exactly.
No, he was trying to
And
fight.
the only,
He was trying to fight somebody, just somebody that you
Tony
shouldn't have any
Bayless
business
fight
trying to fight.
I mean, he chased the brand fight for a couple years.
Yeah, it was some British guy.
I heard Tony Bellews fighting David Haye in a rematch, so that's so much close. So
yeah.
who does Ward fight next? Then he wanted to fight Bellew.
If he
It's
fights
somebody that we don't care about. It's somebody I forgot.
Bellew will probably be the best cherry pick he can find.
Yep.
I need to see that fight. I'd rather see Haye and Bellew settle it in a big arena in the UK than Ward and Bellew. I mean, that fight is horrible. It's not going to be
Because he's not gonna fight a Badu Jack. Badu Jack is like the real life version of what everybody says Kovalev. I mean, what everybody says Ward is.
I rate Badu Jack. I think I would like to see Badu Jack and
Oh, by the way, how do you guys think about Bivol versus Badu Jack?
Well, hold on. Before you guys answer that question, I just I understand that Split D has to go, right, Split?
Yep.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Thanks
Sorry,
for having joined
guys.
us, man. All right, man. Thanks for having joined us, man.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah, don't get too hung up on the decisions from yesterday, man. All right, that was Split D. Sorry about that, guys. We gotta keep things formal here. You know, we do have protocols to follow. All right.
What protocols?
Shut up. All right, keep it going, guys.
Yeah, so Ward. People want to see these fights for the belts. I mean, you got the WBC champion who is Stevenson, who it looks like is going to be holding that belt hostage for another year or so. So the division has got a lot of good fighters here, but the Ward, like you guys said, I understand where you're coming from, and I actually once upon a time was a fan of Ward. Not a big fan, but you know, I admired the skill. Now I don't really. I've lost interest, like what he's does outside the ring. I don't think he's Mayweather. He's too inactive to be Mayweather. I mean, I see why people think that some of the cherry picked and that, but Mayweather's always been relevant and fighting the top guys in his weight class or around about the weight class. He hasn't gone to that plateau of saying his TB to like fighting Pacquiao in his prime or Margarito, going to that level, but. Ward, I think he'd have a fight, then he'd disappear, come back, have a fight, and he's always been a stop and still between his career. I mean, he fought in the Super Six, but that was all fights in Oakland in his hometown, and I don't think
Pretty much orchestrated for him to win it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
The hell was that?
So,
are you alright, dude?
I was yawning.
Oh, I thought you were choking or something.
Nah.
In which case, if you were choking, why would I ask you if you're okay? So we can plainly hear you dying, right? All right, go ahead. Sorry,
just dying on a fucking live stream.
So ideally, I would have liked to have seen Batubiev fight Ward. If Ward's gonna fight, I'd rather him just fight someone that's an interested fight. I mean, if the Stevenson fight doesn't happen, I think that's good. But then the whole situation with Kovalev Stevenson, it just comes back. So the whole weight class is just gonna run in a circle. I mean, Badu Jack's with Al Heyman, and you got.
I mean, the thing is, Stevenson will fight Ward, but he won't fight Kovalev.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reckon? I think Stevenson fighting Fanfara after he got iced by Joe Smith. I mean, that was really bad matchmaking. I don't know what that was.
Stevenson just doesn't care. He'll fight cans to defend a title if he can.
Yep.
So ideally, I would have liked to have seen Pereira and Kovalev. I think Vic was saying a couple of weeks ago on one of the podcasts he didn't want to see that. I mean, the Shabransky fight is a fan-friendly fight on HBO, but the Pereira fight...
It's not that I didn't want to see it. It's just that I didn't think that fight was ever going to happen because, I mean, if I'm in events, if I'm the promoter, I'm not going to make that fight.
That's true.
Promoter of who?
Kovalev and Barrera have the same promoter, and if I'm not mistaken, and I don't see why I would make that fight. Barrera's having a good run right now, and a loss to Kovalev just stops everything. And if Kovalev actually beats Barrera, which I'm pretty sure he would, it doesn't actually help Kovalev either. It's just not a matchup that I want to make.
That's a good
That's
point.
a good point. That's a good point. I mean, Barrera could go down the Stevenson route, and Kovalev could go down the IBF route to try and target the. So yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, why would you want to make that fight when you got the two of your main light heavyweights at main events? I mean, I think the Kovalev situation, he's gonna have to have a couple of fights. Mentally, I don't know how he is, but the whole situation with Stevenson Ward is not a good thing. I mean, they're the two belt holders, and they're known for.
So I have a question for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which route do you think Ward's belts will go? Do you think somebody would just eventually just beat him up and take them from him, or do you think they'll all just eventually become vacant?
I think they're all going to become vacant. I think Ward's at a point where he can easily just say, I'm bigger than the belts and drop them when he doesn't have a favorable matchup, or he can just probably get around just by cherry picking somebody and not fight as mandatory.
Yeah, his fans will defend him.
His fans will defend him blind.
I don't think they're really Ward fans. He doesn't seem
they're not fans. Like, Ward doesn't have fans. Ward he got the sloppy seconds of the Mayweather fans.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I met one after Kovalev fight. I was talking to one of them and didn't know he was a typical demographic fan who doesn't like Golovkin because he's not black or
LDBC member.
And yeah, this guy, he was trying to argue that Ward won the fight, and he was saying that he thought Ward won. I mean, I went through everything. I wish I didn't because we argued for a while, and then it happened again after the Jacobs fight. We're actually working together, so. And I mean, this guy, he was trying to defend Ward like blindly, saying stupid stuff like, why didn't he fight Golovkin, the whole 164-pound offer and all that. But then it came down to, they're not really Ward fans. I sense the Mayweather fans who just latch on to Ward because they see someone like Golovkin doing well. They want someone.
Yeah, because there are other black fighters who are way better than Ward.
Exactly. I mean, Anthony Joshua. I mean, that's someone I think people should be getting.
I think
Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah.
I think they don't like Joshua because he's English.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't give them the full-on African-American treatment.
No, but there's fans from the UK who try defending Ward. These are British fans who try.
They may just not like Kovalev.
They don't like Golovkin
because he beat up Nate cleverly.
No. These are guys that don't like Golovkin because the jealousy.
He beat up Kell Brook.
No. The Mayweather fans who don't like Golovkin because they see someone who's doing well, and then they try and jump onto Ward and try and blindly just defend.
Yeah, it could be. It's kind of like the Mayweather mindset. Like, Mayweather always knew Manny Pacquiao was better than him. That's why he would always try to trash Manny Pacquiao at any chance he got. Like, he was jealous when Manny Pacquiao got the Fighter of the Decade award.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the thing. Do you guys?
And that's always how it's gonna be.
Yeah, listen.
Anybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, my point is, I mean, you shouldn't look at the skin color. I mean, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence are two good fighters who are both really good, I think, black American fighters who are really doing well. And the route they take, I mean, Crawford came over to fight in Scotland, and even though it's Ricky Burns, and I mean, Spence came over to fight Brook. These are stuff that even Roy Jones and Hopkins didn't do, and Mayweather didn't do, Ward would never do in his career. I mean, that's the type of challenges I'd respect fighters like that. I mean, those are the type of guys that you should be following. But I see in America, not many people get behind fighters like that. I don't know if it's just like...
Yes, they seem to only...
Americans, we really like Spence. We don't care that much about Crawford. I don't know why, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure why they don't like Crawford either. I think it's just... They like Spence because deep down inside, if you watch boxing, you're going to like a knockout puncher more than anything.
Well, the Spence thing is really just because there was actually a Mayweather connection there when people thought that Spence was
That
going to
he beat up
sign.
Mayweather in sparring.
Yeah, that too. People thought that Mayweather was going to, Spence was going to sign to Mayweather. So a lot of them hopped on the Spence train, but then Spence ended up signing with God, who is this promoter?
Al Hammond.
Thank you.
Now listen, the other thing is Errol Spence. I mean, Terence Crawford isn't going around recording no headshot street fights on the on the internet. Errol Spence.
I mean, that was also before then. Spence, they were on his hype train before then, like long before then.
Yeah, and I don't
that's-
give Spence a whole lot of credit. I feel he's just way too big for his weight class.
Yeah, I mean, so was Brooke though, honestly.
That's true. So who do you guys, out of the two, who do you rate more? Like Crawford, like Max Kellerman, he's always going on about Ward.
I mean, I don't rate Crawford
think
as
he should-
high as other people, but I rate him fairly highly. I mean, he is a two-weight lineal champion.
Yeah, that's why I rate Crawford higher than Ward. Like I don't see why people
Yeah, he's
give
better
Ward
than
so much
Andre.
credit.
Yeah, Crawford's skill level is better than Ward's.
But you know,
I
it's
mean,
interesting because
everybody's skill level is better than Ward's.
I always
The only-
assumed that people rated Ward highly. I certainly did. I thought he was going to beat Kovalev the first time. And then I was actually surprised at how easily Kovalev was out jabbing him in the rematch. I thought he was actually having an easier time in the first 6 rounds. Then he started to slow down a little bit. But I don't see Ward as invincible now as I did before, especially when you guys
I don't
mentioned
know
that.
how anybody can see him as invincible after that fight. I mean, he would be hit. How can you call a guy a high-level fighter when he eats a right hand and then he goes and grabs a guy's waist
Yeah.
just to stand up?
Especially you guys mentioned that Mikkel Kessler fight. That was a fight that really opened up a lot of eyes because he was actually the underdog. But then you look back on it, and there's that highlight video one of you guys mentioned. I think it's that video.
Son of hope.
Yeah, but I mean, is that the one where you see him headbutting and like holding about 50 times during the fight?
It highlights many of his headbutts. Like it'll actually show you, because there is a point in that fight where Ward just just grinds his head up against
Jesus.
Miguel Kessler's face.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also another video where somebody actually counts the number of clinches in
Yeah,
the
it's
fight.
like I think I've seen that one too. What they do first.
Ward's dirty tactics explained or some shit like that.
And some
Yeah,
people
there's
compare him
another
to
one
Hopkins.
that I
They say,
saw
"Oh well, Bernard
It's like an
Hopkins
hour
does it."
long.
But
There's
Bernard
another
Hopkins
one
was doing it when he
Nero
was old.
Studios made, where first they show the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight, and they just have like Mayweather holding Manny Pacquiao to like cute Japanese music,
Nice.
and a little like glitter shows around the screen every time he goes for a hold.
Yeah.
And they keep, and what's funny is the guy who made the video, he keeps counting the hugs after the 12th round ends. So he counts the hug when Floyd hugs his father. He counts the hug when he hugs Pacquiao. Like when he got on the ropes and crossed his arms, he counted that as a hug too.
I don't know. Yeah, what's got to be done about this excessive clinching, man? Because I mean, listen,
Nothing.
I'm a bit of a clincher myself.
What you would need to do, if I was going on American, if I was going to fight for world title, I mean, every fighter, the referee will go back and they will talk to the fighters. You know how they showed that during the Gennady Golovkin card, right?
Yeah.
That's all you would need to do is just say, I do not want him holding me. If I was in that ring, what I would do is I would say to the referee, I said, if he keeps holding me, I'm going to put my forearm in his face. And if you do not stop him from holding me, that's what I'm going to do. Because I know y'all have seen fights like that, where a guy will be holding you, a guy will be holding another fighter, and he'll forearm him to get him off of him, and then they'll warn the guy for forearming.
Yeah, Nassim Richardson did that prior to when he was in Moses' corner against Mayweather, and he said he
I
told
know
the
you
ref,
have to
"Listen, he's gonna
recognize
fucking elbow me."
both as a foul. Holding is a foul. It is not like a punch.
Mm-hmm.
So holding and clinching is different. I mean, if you get a shot off and you just tie someone up, tying someone up and clinching is. I mean, Ward in the Kovalev rematch, every Kovalev shot Kovalev threw, missed or landed, Ward would just hug him quickly. I mean, that's
Yeah, because that's all he can do. He can't really fight good in any direction. What he would do is he would either try to run away or he would have to hold.
I mean, Ward. I would have liked to have seen him fight Kovalev in a neutral ground, like in New
But the
York
problem
or
with that
Atlanta.
is he can't do that or he gets knocked out relatively easily.
Mm. I mean, I don't think they could do anything about it. I mean, if he fights Batubiev, I'd be really interested in that fight because I don't think he's allowed to hold Batubiev. If he tries holding,
Yeah, if he holds Beterbiev is just gonna like slip a little
yeah,
itty
I'd
bitty
clinch
hook
him.
into his face.
Yeah, that's what I think. So I think that's an
And we
interesting
know
fight.
Beterbiev is a million times more aggressive and angry than Kovalev is. I mean, if I saw him, there's a fight where he actually gets knocked down by his opponent, and then he gets up and he just rapidly just swings and swings and swings, big old wild hooks, and he gets that guy out of there in less than 4 rounds.
That's true. The only thing I'd see is I think Kovalev's a better boxer. I think I said this
Yeah, I
before.
think Kovalev is a better boxer
Kovalev,
too. He just has
Kovalev,
more
Kovalev.
experience and he has a better jab.
I mean, Ward struggled against Kovalev so much because on the outside, Ward could not beat him. That's why he had to clinch him, and then
Yeah,
Kovalev's inside. Kovalev's inside game is very bad. I mean, his inside game was non-existent. I mean, Batubiev's got the better inside game, but I think Kovalev is much better on the range. I think Kovalev was out jabbing Ward in the first 3 or 4 rounds of the first fight. I mean, Kovalev was very impressive. I mean, he was good all the way through the 12th round, but he got a bit tired towards the end. But I mean, Ward couldn't close the distance. He couldn't get past Kovalev's jab in the first fight. I mean,
yeah. There's one point where in the first fight,
Kovalev's footwork I think is much better than Batubiev, but
yeah, I would agree too.
I think
There's one.
yeah.
There's one point in the first fight where Ward tries to go for one big old wide hook, and Kovalev just jabs him in the face and pushes him to the side.
As far as how Kovalev and Beterbiev fight, they're really just the opposite of each other, and that's why one has like strengths that are much better than the other guy, but that's because they're good at that particular thing. Beterbiev is much better on the inside because that's Beterbiev's like his main thing. That's what he wants to do. Kovalev wants to keep you at range and pick you off with like 1-2, so that reverse 1-2 that he does with his shifting. So
do you guys reckon Ward would school Batubiev?
No, he would get his ass kicked because the
he gets
thing
just
that Ward
smacked around
does.
and embarrassed.
Well, Ward's answer to a lot of things is to hold you, but you can't really hold Beterbiev. You get knocked the fuck out if you try that. He's as strong as an ox, and he can knock you out from like one.
Yeah, what he will do is he'll probably just push Andre Ward on the floor.
No. That's a good point. What I'm trying to see is in the second fight, I thought Ward started a lot better in the second fight than he did in the first fight against Kovalev. Now, what I was trying to see is if Ward keeps on the outside, take the holding away. Say he doesn't hold, and he just tries to keep Beterbiev on the outside, and he tries using his footwork and that.
He's not good enough for that.
Yeah, he can't do that. He has to keep a guy on the inside, to keep a guy on the outside. You would actually have to have distance punches to keep his respect.
Yeah,
and Beterbiev is going to understand that he can easily walk through all of Ward's little slaps and his little tap jab.
And you know the worst thing about all of this is that this is Ward with all the clinching and all the dirty tactics. This is a young Ward. This is only gonna get worse as he gets older.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't Ward like
I don't think
32 or something?
No, he's like 35 or 34. Let me look this up for you, actually.
No, he's not 35.
Andre Ward's not.
He's 33 or 4. He's old enough, but I think the main thing you guys are saying is a good point. I mean,
he's 33. Holy shit! I thought he was older than he was. That's amazing.
Yeah, he looks older.
What? That's weird.
So the thing is, Ward.
That same thing. People say that same thing about like Iristanti Laura. People don't understand. Iristanti Laura only has 1 year on Triple G.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say, Ward. I think the main thing is people see that Ward. He's got a habit of when he throws his punches, the first thing he thinks of that comes to his mind is hold. I mean, against Beterbiev, he will at some point of the round keep trying to hold Beterbiev, and that's when I think it'll become dangerous. The only thing is whether that fight will happen. I think it's a really interesting.
I don't think it will happen.
I don't think.
No, I don't think it will either. And the thing is, he can't beat any of those people just by fighting them.
So
he's not like Klitschko, where Klitschko he holds because he can get away with it, but there's still a high possibility that he could outbox you and knock you out. That's not Andre Ward.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what do you guys reckon? Would all this Ward and Joshua talk, is that all this hype, or do you think if he had a choice between the two?
Oh shit!
Between Beterbiev and Joshua, which one would he take?
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Here's the thing. I think actually
Come
he
on.
would take the Joshua fight because then he can use the excuse, oh well, he was a lot bigger than me. He was a heavyweight.
No,
Like
there's
kind
no
of
way.
how like Kell Brook, when he fought Triple G, a lot of people said that loss didn't count because Triple G was.
I think that's true. That's a good point. I think Ward would maybe make Joshua think for a couple of rounds, but I don't see how he.
Nah, because he can't hold Joshua. We all know that Joshua is way too big for that.
No, what I'm trying to say, I think it'd take Joshua 2 or 3 rounds. Like it took.
Yeah, it'd probably take him a couple rounds to actually catch Ward because Ward would be running a lot.
Yeah. So I don't think it'll be over 1 round. I think it'd take about 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, he might get out of the first if he's.
Man, this would be the Son of God against the Nephilim. The biblical implications here are staggering, man. No, fucking Ward is not gonna take on Anthony Joshua. I don't think so, man. Come on, are you nuts? Ward is what, 6'1"?
6 feet tall.
I think 6
feet tall, and against a guy that's 6'5". Come on.
What about this?
Did you guys see Teddy Atlas having that rant on Stephen A. Smith about the corruption in boxing?
Yeah.
That was over the top. I think it was funny. I watched it 2 or 3 times, but I think it went over the top, man. This.
No, he's definitely right about all this shit.
Yeah, he's right. You can't disagree with the Atlas.
He's over the top with like his mannerisms. Like he shouldn't be yelling and screaming and moving his body. He just seems like he seems like a little child when he does that. You can slander people in a polite way.
Exactly. He looks like he's being electrocuted or something. Like, that's not normal, man.
Like,
that's not normal
can
behavior.
you guys tell me what was Stephen A. Smith's point? I didn't get it. He was saying like all sports are corrupt.
Stephen A. Smith was trying to say that there's like it's more of a. I think he said it's more of a judge incompetence thing than it is corruption.
He was trying to say that this happens in every sport, but like that it's a normal thing. But boxing is way worse by a wide margin. I think he's trying to argue that we in boxing try to make it seem like it's worse than it is, but we're not at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
I mean, because okay, boxing, you have more power as the judge than you do in any other fucking sport.
Yeah, and
it's not like in basketball.
Good point.
I just watched a video today. A-side advantages in boxing compared to other sports. Boxing is the only sport where you can pick all 3 referees, and you can pick the official, and everybody will say that that's just regular.
Yeah, it's not like in fucking basketball where you could have your points count more than your opponent's points or some shit like that.
Like, I don't really watch any other sports except boxing, but imagine if like the Cavaliers, they said that we will only fight at home, and if you want to fight us or if you want to play us, you have to come to our hometown to fight us.
That's a good point, but my point about Teddy Atlas, Stephen A. Smith, I mean, looking at it from a casual point of view, I mean, the Pacquiao-Horn fight, I thought that decision was bad. I'm not gonna lie. I still had the Pacquiao 7-5. I could maybe argue 8-4, maybe 6-6, because it's in Australia. But I mean, they overreacted for that fight. And if I remember, Stephen A. Smith was also doing this for the Bradley fight. Now, these guys don't really cover boxing properly. Now, if someone
Stephen A. Smith, he's just happy that he can have an opinion that is.
I think he's been learning, though. I think he's really been not learning as much as he should, but I think he's learning a little bit.
Stephen A. Smith strikes me as a person who thinks that all of the knowledge is within himself.
No, he seems to actually defer to the knowledge of like when he's on the commentating, he seems like Bradley or Atlas or like anybody else. He'll really defer to their knowledge a little bit more. He does have his own opinion, but he seems to just acknowledge that they know more about the shit than he does. He'll bring that up himself.
I wanted to ask you about Stephen A. Smith because I'm not that familiar with ESPN or any other programming that's on there. Mm-hmm. Stephen A. Smith, I remember he was on that show, right? With the what's the other guy's name who was a Pacquiao fan?
Skip Bayless.
First Take.
Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless,
yes,
right.
Thank you.
Okay, so I remember one time I was watching that show and it was after the Pacquiao-Margarito fight. And both of those guys, they're talking about basketball, talking about the NFL games that went on that weekend and everything else before boxing, right? Finally, they get to the Pacquiao-Margarito fight and all of a sudden they go, listen, is Pacquiao the greatest fighter of all time? That's what they're actually discussing. Is he the best fighter of all time? Blah, 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 blah. You know, they're talking, and all of a sudden at the end, Skip Bayless goes, I didn't watch the fight, but I really think he's one of the best ever. And then Stephen A. Smith goes, yeah, I didn't watch the fight either, but I'm thinking, what the fuck are these guys doing? Listen.
I mean, why are you allowing them to discuss it if they haven't seen it?
Like King Bucho was mentioning that to me earlier this week, that it seems like boxing has been making a resurgence these past 5 years. So it's still a niche sport, but it seems like some people are taking pride in knowing about boxing. You know, like it's that niche sport that has a rich history and a lot of glamour because of its history. So now it seems like people that like casuals, they like to pretend that they know about boxing. It seems to me like Stephen A. Smith represents
now.
That. Was that?
It's like kind of fashionable.
Yeah. And I think Stephen A. Smith represents that most than anybody else, any other broadcaster in TV right now.
Yeah, I just think they go over the OTT over some of these fights. I mean, if Golovkin lost, I think they would have. I would have liked to have seen that rant and all that. Fair enough. I think the 118, 110 they could have, but they were more of a voicing their opinions over the decision. I don't honestly believe that decision was as bad as I thought. Like I thought the two of the judges did an okay job. I don't agree with the draw. I don't think it was a draw. I had Golovkin winning 7-5, but I mean they've done this twice now over the Pacquiao. One fight. I find it funny as a hardcore boxer fight. I know I'm watching. I find it funny, but I mean, if guys who don't watch boxing is just gonna turn them away. Some of these people don't find Teddy Atlas funny. I mean, it seems like he's got
and you get people,
mental issues.
You get people defending these bad decisions. Like if you
Yeah,
really
that's
cared
not-
about the sport, you wouldn't defend any bad decision, whether it was the
Yeah.
fighter you like or the fighter you don't like.
No, that's wrong as well. But
I mean,
what
if
I'm trying to say
if
is-
we all like, I'm sure everybody here, if we saw somebody just like beat the brakes off Triple G, we're not gonna say he won. We would say if Triple G got beat up, we would say he lost.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, they should vent their anger, but the way they do it is in such a unprofessional way. Is what I'm trying to see. Is like some people are just gonna look at it like they don't want to watch boxing. They like this. Like boxing. I think I made a point on Twitter yesterday. Boxing. Before it kills itself, people are killing it. Like some of the fans, like they're saying, is a robbery, and like these guys who have got a high platform, they should be acting a bit more professional. I mean, Stephen A. Smith and Teddy Atlas, I find it funny. I mean, I'd watch it, but I mean, I'm not sure if everyone else would agree. Like a lot of people would say these guys are just like putting boxing in disrepute. Like some of the comments as well. Like some of them are true. Like, but when you check a lot of these accusations out, like without proper proof, and because when the decision is debatable, because I've read a lot of people did think that was a competitive fight, which could have.
I mean,
been a draw.
nowadays people think that any fight that goes 12 rounds is subjective.
No, that's not true. But
Yeah, we
then-
get that a lot. Like any fight, and even like it's not a new thing that people think if they go 12 rounds they won, but it's a lot more prevalent now.
That's a good point. But my counteractor, whenever there's a close fight and it doesn't go like they agree, they always throw the word robbery out. So, what is a close decision?
Yeah,
If
but the
everything
problem
is
with
robbery-
that these days is we don't see enough high-level fighters face each other to ever see a close fight like that. We either see one-sided fights or we see a guy who the fight was a little bit competitive, but we clearly knew who the winner was.
Okay, that's a good point. But what I'm trying to say, I mean, let's start back from Kovalev Ward 1. People have seen it as a robbery. Now, for that fight, I could live with the word robbery because I cannot see till this day. I don't think it was a clear robbery, daylight robbery, but I can't see how Ward won 7 rounds. But then it turned on to the Rungvi side fight, to the Badu Jack James DeGill fight. It went to the Pacquiao Horn fight, to the people even said the Golovkin Jacobs fight was a robbery. I mean, I thought Golovkin won, but I wouldn't call that a robbery. And then they said for this fight. Now, what I'm trying to say is a lot of these guys who cover the sport, some of them don't say anything. They just yes men. But then some of these guys go over the top. I mean, they should try and keep a balance. I mean, that's what I'm trying to. And it's the fans as well. I don't think they're like helping with some of these opinions.
Yeah, well, that's just because a lot of the so-called boxing media, those guys, they're not that deep in boxing knowledge as they
They're not, and they're also
portray
seem to be
themselves
more
to be.
interested in like keeping their press row credentials and shit. Michael Montero is one of the few guys, just from his actions.
Michael Montero, I don't like him because he has.
I don't watch his shit, but I have respect for him for what he did this Saturday.
Yeah, that is I respect him for that, but his stuff that he did on the Povetkin situation.
Well,
that's
what
kind
he
of
do?
when I have a hard time respecting him for that stuff.
But reverse.
What did he do exactly then?
What did he do?
He said that even if you are 0.000000001, if you come up with that amount on your system, you popped.
I mean, he's technically right in that sense. If they have like a quality,
he still says that Povetkin was dirty, and he reported the case wrong, and he wouldn't. It
depends on the context that he's saying, though. I mean, if we're talking about a substance that's a PED and a qualitative ban, then yes, if you do have any of that substance in your system, then you did test dirty for that. If you're talking about something that's a quantitative ban, like meldonium, then you are wrong in that sense because it is within the limits of it. He was probably talking about meldonium, though. In that case, it would be wrong.
He was referring to the Povetkin meldonium case.
Yeah, if he's talking about Osterine, then he would have been right, but clearly he wasn't. So
he wasn't.
Yeah.
He was talking about the meldonium case.
I feel like a lot of people just don't actually understand what any of that shit was at all.
I don't even know what happened there, man. I'm still not clear on what happened.
Okay.
It was just an attempt for the WBC and Al Heyman to keep Wilder out of the ring with Povetkin.
Okay, so here's the thing with meldonium. Meldonium is not, it's kind of a new drug, but as far as everyone knows, it doesn't actually boost your performance at all.
Yeah, it's not going to be the difference between somebody that you can beating you and not beating you.
Okay.
Right. Okay, now meldonium, what it actually is like, it's a heart medicine. It prevents you from having heart failure because that's something that athletes have to deal with throughout their training. You have a higher risk of that. It's preventative. It's basically like aspirin, only if aspirin didn't have the negative effects. That's really all meldonium is. Okay. It's banned on the list because a lot of Russian athletes were doing, because it's like an over-the-counter drug there that you are, if you're an athlete, you should be taking in the first place because of your heightened risk of heart failure in the first place. So a lot of them were taking it, and during the Olympics, they banned it because so many of them were taking it. That's really the official statement that USADA, I think it was USADA, I forget who it was exactly, Water Protocol. It's the official statement that they gave. They didn't have any proof that it actually boosted your performance. They just saw that a lot of people were on the shit, so they banned it. That was really it.
So, okay, so there's more to the story than was laid on.
Yeah, it's very political. That's why meldonium was banned. But like everybody
some people were translating that as like it was a drug that increases your stamina.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything like that at all. Povetkin, even when he had it in his system, it wasn't actually proven that he took it after they banned it. Because like I said, it's a new drug and they only recently banned it. And because it's new, there wasn't a whole lot of like hard science on it.
A lot of stuff has come out saying that he didn't even take that.
Yeah, it was probably that he was taking it when it was legal. That's what the evidence seems to indicate. And even still, you could have a certain amount of that in your system because it was a qualitative ban. It was a quantitative ban is what I meant to say, not a qualitative ban. So he was well within the realm of having it allowed in the system. And then they just called WBC postponed the fight instead of calling it off. Wilder just left when he wasn't supposed to in the first place.
You can see, like, I noticed this. Like, I was still like learning the new stuff, but they didn't spend a whole lot of money advertising that fight either.
Yeah.
And a big thought is that fight.
At the same time, though, they don't really post a lot of money for any Wilder shits in the first place, though. So that doesn't really change anything at all.
A big thought of that was that Al Heyman was never planning on letting Povetkin fight Wilder.
Okay, 1 second.
I mean, that's possible, but at the same time, you don't really have any proof that they knew that Povetkin was going to test positive for anything in the first place. And if that didn't happen, that fight seems like it would have gone on, since that was the only reason that Wilder gave for leaving. So you can't really have a conspiracy theory for that one.
All right, we're going to go with Hamed, and then we're going to wrap this up, guys, all right?
Okay, do you guys...
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Because he's been popped before, multiple times.
Wait,
what's the name?
who?
Povetkin.
No. Povetkin is only tested positive for that one and for the Osterine, but then when they tested further for the Osterine, there was like only one lab found that. It was weird. Yeah, it's really weird. Like no other place found the Osterine in the system, and they found Osterine doesn't. It's accessible, but it's not something that you should really be doing. Like, if you're trying to go for a PED, Ostarine is not the one that you want to go for, because Ostarine, the gains you get from it, they disappear, like fucking disappear after like 3 days. It's not something that you should really be using. It's nothing good like that. And also, Ostarine is a steroid that you find in a lot of food, actually, because you give it to like the animals to promote their growth. So if you eat like a steak, you might end up having trace amounts of it in your system. And I'm not certain how low those amounts would be, but they only found like 3 picograms or some shit like that, or 30 picograms, some shit like that. And I'm thinking that might actually be within that trace amount from the food. That's highly possible. And then it seems like it wasn't in the system in the first goddamn place, since, like I said, no other lab found that shit.
Victor,
the only one that found it was some lab that doesn't even have what's fucking credentials anymore.
Okay, but what I was trying to say, because he's been popped, alright, more than once, or
I mean,
see,
no.
Let me finish. See, when you got popped the first time, anything suspicious or anything that questionable, accusing him of being popped second time, it's just like in athletics, I think, with the whole Justin Gatlin situation. I know it's different because he tested positive twice, but I think with Povetkin, because he's been tested one positive, because he got popped once, I think because the second time, like you said, there's the other drug, which might not be banned, or a PED, because it's a questionable thing. Is that the reason? Because Povetkin got judged like differently, like. Is that the reason? Because he's already been popped the first time when it happened. I think people are trying to see, like, whatever happens next time is your last chance. And I think that's the reason Povetkin, like, his reputation, like you're trying to say, even though it's 0.01 or 0.001, I think with Povetkin, people they don't want to defend him because it's happened before. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's why, because like he has a stain on him, but it's unfair to him because he hasn't actually tested positive for anything in the first place at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. So technically, was he fined, or were there any repercussions after the Wilder fight, or is it considered?
Let me see.
They just didn't let him fight for the title.
Okay,
yeah, they settled in court. It was fucking weird.
He just got WBA and the WBO international heavyweight belts.
Okay, so there's no official record in any of the organizations saying, "Oh, this guy's tested positive for the Wilder fight."
No, it was more of the WBC trying. It was like for a while, the WBC was. They were just trying to keep him from fighting Povetkin. Because we all know Wilder, he doesn't fight anybody.
I mean, that may change if he goes through with the Ortiz fight, which I don't think it will, but...
I don't think he'll fight Ortiz.
Hold on.
Well, yeah, they're saying that, right? They said that 2 days ago that supposedly it's about to be done, but
yeah,
we all know about the PBC.
He could have had Wilder on like 4 or like a week notice, 2 weeks notice. He could have got Ortiz to take his place for the Washington fight.
Man, Wilder could fight anybody he wants right now, and the fact that he's taking on guys like Washington and who was the guy before that? Was it
Chris Arreola?
Chris Arreola. Oh, come on, Arreola. Fucking shit. Anyway, guys. Go ahead.
Wilder or Ortiz? Wilder or Ortiz? Who do you guys favor if that fight happens?
Ortiz.
I can't favor Wilder against anybody because his fundamentals are just so poor. But Ortiz is kind of old. Well, not kind of old. He is old. So
I'd favor Wilder. Just slightly. I think Ortiz is about 45 or something. He's too old.
Yeah, I mean, Wilder has that equalizer, man. He's.
I mean, Ortiz.
And he is very unorthodox with those windmills.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a cakewalk for Ortiz.
I'd rather see Wilder and Big Baby next year, even though I think Wilder beats Big Baby, but I don't know, I like some of the things I've seen from Big Baby. If he could get into good shape, I think Jaron Miller would give him a good fight. I don't know, with Ortiz against, when he fought, I think it was...
his last match.
This guy, Allen and Malik Scott as well. I wasn't impressed. And who was the last guy he fought? I don't think Whoever he fought
It was
in his
somebody
last
in
fight.
England.
After the
Yeah,
Brian
another
Jennings
fight in
fight, or
But
No,
he
no,
fought. I
once.
remember he fought. He fought. I think it was in Paris or something, and the guy just ran from him all night.
yeah, that was that
Malik
American he just mentioned, Malik Scott. Malik Scott.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But yeah, listen,
Yeah,
I would
and he
rather
had a
see.
fight after that in England.
Okay, well, I would
did.
rather see Wilder against Joshua, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Well, if Wilder ends up beating Ortiz and Joshua, because Joshua, all he has is mandatories. That's a unification fight. They're gonna allow that to happen. So
Okay.
Okay, can I ask you guys one last question? Because
Sure.
people have been debating these decisions. Is Joshua the only guy that you can? Is he the only guy you could not see anyone go 12 rounds with in his weight class?
The only person I think that could really beat Anthony Joshua is Povetkin.
Ooh, I think Tyson Fury, a healthy Tyson Fury, is the only guy.
I agree with you. Tyson Fury, if he comes back, which I don't know yet, but he could cause problems for Joshua. He can go 12
Tyson
rounds.
Fury comes back, it's gonna be fucking trash anyway.
Exactly, that's the thing. No, I mean, he's too fat, man.
Too fat and too crazy. Although sometimes
Hey, maybe
crazy is-
Parker or Huey Fury. We never know. They might be good.
Yeah, maybe.
So far,
We don't know.
they haven't
Jury's
passed the
out on
test.
that.
And Hamed mentioned Jared Baby Miller. He's still unproven to me at this point, even though he looked good in his last fight.
Yep.
But I don't know. Hey, look,
Have you
listen. At
seen
least
that
we have a
picture?
good heavyweight division.
Have you seen that picture of how when he's got his top off? I mean, 298 pounds for a 6'1".
Yeah, he was almost 300 pounds for the Washington fight.
Jeez.
Ooh,
That's what.
thing.
That's why they call him Big Baby, man, because he's like a overgrown baby, you know. He probably eats like one too. Listen, guys, thank you for joining us. This was a great. I think this has to be the best episode yet, man. At this point, you guys were on fucking fire,
Isn't that right?
or as Mauro Ronaldo says, on fuego. And you guys really did a good job. I can't disagree with anything you said about Triple G Canelo. When the 90% of the boxing world says they saw the same thing, and even the Mexican fans are booing the decision, you know something.
I saw this video that look up Canelo mom threatens Triple G.
What?
I saw that. I didn't. Let me say. I read the title of it. I didn't actually.
Yeah,
see
I saw it's a little video of like Canelo's mom trashing Triple G after the decision, saying that she thought her son clearly won and that Triple G is gonna pay for this.
Whoa,
That's
those tough words for an old woman that's out of shape. An old out of shape woman. What's she gonna do? Eat him? Come on, that doesn't work
Well,
around here.
she might have the same powers that Pacquiao's mother had when she cursed Bradley. Did y'all see that shit?
Yes. Let me tell you something. You guys might think I'm crazy, but I think there's something to that. That whole hoodoo magic. There's something there, man.
Like that Pacquiao's mom might be like a sorcerer or something.
Yeah, I
Jeff
think she
Horn
might
needs
be
to watch the fuck out. Look, Jeff Horn is going to die.
Exactly. Hey, doesn't Jeff Horn's? No, okay. I was gonna make a joke about his wife, but that's not how we do it over here at BDA. I'll tell you who I will make fun of. Adelaide Bird. That bitch needs to go. And here's another thing that people are thinking about her.
Fucking twat. Fucking twat. Fucking twat. You're a fucking retard!
All right, that's all we need to hear about her.
One sec. Can I just say, do you guys know anyone that thought Canelo won?
No.
Canelo.
I haven't
Canelo.
actually heard anybody say that they think Canelo won that fight. No,
Canelo, his team.
I don't think they
Mother.
actually think that he won. I think they say that he won. I don't think they actually think that.
Yes.
Do you know any boxing fans or media that you respect, or who know the boxing, that have said they strongly thought that Canelo won that fight?
No, I've not come across that.
Yeah, that's the
Canelo's
that's
niece.
what
Okay, but best case scenario, giving Canelo every benefit of the doubt in every single round. What's the maximum? What's the best score you guys could have given him?
draw.
If you really, 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 really reached, you could have maybe gotten a draw.
Okay.
But if you're being mildly generous, 7-5.
Yeah, I gave him 4 rounds, but honestly, I think I probably shouldn't have given him 4 rounds in the first place. I think I honestly maybe should have given him 3, but I'm sticking with my scorecard of like 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
What I wouldn't mind was if one gave Golovkin 8-4, 1-7-5, and say one was just biased to Canelo and gave you 7-5 instead of the 10-2, and Golovkin got a split decision. I would have been okay with that, or a majority decision if one gave you a draw. But unanimously, no, I don't think Canelo won. I don't think Canelo won more than 6 rounds if you're pushing. I think one, maybe a draw on one of the cards. Overall, I think a draw with the whole corruption going on in boxing. I think that's not bad.
Yeah, a draw is the best thing they can do for Triple G, because at that point, at least he gets to keep his belts in his O.
Look, my belt is the funniest thing he said.
I know. I saw when you put that up, and I retweeted that. He said, "Hey guys, look at my belts.
Not even look at my belts. Look, my belts.
Look, my belts. I have my belts. I still middleweight champion."
Yeah, at this point, it's pretty fucking hard. It's pretty
Muchos
fucking hard to hate
gracias,
Golovkin.
amigos.
Was that?
Buenos noches.
Oh yeah, buenos noches.
What do you guys?
Hey, doesn't Golovkin have like mandatories now? Because he has like 3
Golovkin
belts.
has,
So what's up?
He has an IBF mandatory, WBC mandatory.
Yeah, the IBF is Derevyanchenko, the WBC is Charlo, WBA is actually Indom, but he has to fight Murata first. I think Murata's going to win that fight. And then there's the Jacobs rematch, but the mandatories take precedence over the...
Hey, who is this IBO mandatory?
Do you even force it?
Shit.
So who do you favor? Eubank? No, Eubank. Sorry, I was talking about IBO. Jacobs. Or
I said IBO.
Jacobs or Canelo?
Canelo. After what I saw, Canelo, man.
Same.
Yeah, probably Canelo.
Yeah.
By a slight margin. Very
of
slight
course.
margin.
And also, I
Jacobs
think
is very
Canelo's
good.
Canelo's going to look better. I think the biggest mistake that Canelo really made was not taking other fights at middleweight. I think having Golovkin to be his first match at middleweight proper was probably a bad decision.
That's a good point. The stamina was a big issue, though.
Yeah.
He wasn't used to fighting maybe with that type of body, you know?
Yeah, because he put on muscle.
body.
He put on muscle for this, and then try to move around like that. I think it's going to look better in his next upcoming fights in the middleweight division.
Hey, how big do you think Canelo was in that ring?
Well, I'm going to guess that Golovkin was about low 170s, so Canelo high 170s, mid 170s.
Okay, before the next podcast, all of you guys watch the fight back, because I was thinking about watching the fight back today. I just couldn't. Only had about 3 or 4 hours sleep. I thought I'd try and I could have really asked watching it again. I thought Golovkin clearly did enough to win. I thought if we really structurally, really being biased, to draw. If I will try and rewatch it on HBO.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it again either today or tomorrow.
Try and
Everybody knows Golovkin won that fight.
Yeah, on the next one we could try and see which round we gave Canelo and which ones we thought were close.
Bring your scorecards.
Yeah, I already have that on my phone actually.
Not only am I not gonna watch the fight, I'm actually gonna do something that has nothing to do with boxing. That's how much I'm confident in what I saw yesterday still stands a week from now, man.
Yeah, we all know Golovkin won. We're just saying, we're just gonna compare scorecards and see which rounds we gave to who.
Exactly. Anyway, look, listen, guys. Thank you for joining us. I gotta say, I think this was the best open debate panel we've had since we started this. I want to thank you guys, Reverse Lee, Victor Atkinson, Hamed, Split D, who already left. But thank you guys for joining us, King Buchu as well. You guys make the show. I also want to thank everybody that's on the chat, all the usual suspects as well. Aztec 101, Genjuro 77. I think I saw Luis. Oh, come on, don't interrupt me now. Where's fucking... Yeah, no more. Alright, now we got that out of the way. Canelo giving my fight. All the guys, thank you for joining us. It was a very good podcast or broadcast or transmission, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be doing another one on Saturday as usual. Don't get too hung up on what happened yesterday. It happens all the time. This is boxing. I know we don't have to like it, but then again, you don't have to let it eat you up inside. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next one, and take care.
Hey, look, my belts. I still champion Canelo.
Alright, guys. Let the music play us out.